We'll be rolling shortly. Stay tuned. Share it out.
We ask the candidates come forward and take a seat at the front. We'll get you started shortly. Welcome everyone to the 2024 City of Estevan Election Town Hall hosted by concerned citizens. Please stand for our national anthem. First, I'd like to introduce the candidates to the crowd. I'll announce the three mayoral candidates. I'll just ask you to stand when I mention your name. So first, from the left to right, Rebecca Ford. Okay. And right, oh there. Zach Van Den Herd. And Tony Serta. And we're now running for council. From left to right, we have Stephen Daniel, Dave Elliott, Tom Mouse, Kevin Andrews, Matthew Dabowski, Ron Watt, Robin Watt, sorry, my apologies, Robin, and Ryan Hagel, Kirsten Walliser, Brian Johnson, and Shelley Rowan. Thank you. I'm Miles Victor, and this is Milton Vickery. To my right will be your moderators for this evening. The format for tonight's forum will be as follows. There will be three parts. First, to begin, candidates will be given up to 3 minutes to introduce themselves and convey any message they wish to the voters. In the second part, this will be followed by a question and answer session with questions coming from eligible voters in attendance or concerned citizens if needed. Each candidate will be provided up to 2 minutes to respond. As a courtesy, Milt will raise his hand as a signal when your 2 minutes are up, and then we ask you to conclude your response. Please stand when you respond so everyone in attendance can see you. For the attendees that have questions, if you would like to present a question to the candidates, we ask you come up to and line up behind or to the side of the microphone to my left. We have chairs that are reserved, and take a chair, and we will address your questions in sequential order from left to right. When you ask a question, please state your first name and that you are an eligible voter. We ask that all questions be asked in a respectful manner. And then in the third phase, we will have a 2-minute time for candidates to make closing remarks. We will receive responses in sequential starting order so that all candidates will get to respond sometimes first and two other times to the last. No interruptions to speakers or disruptions to the forum will be tolerated. Thank you for your cooperation. With that, we will begin. I'd ask that any attendees from the gallery that have questions, please now come up and take a seat in the chairs to my left, and then so we can get to your questions. And in the meantime, concerned citizens will open with a provided question from our group. The question is simply, what is your vision for the city of Estevan for the next 4 years? And we'll start from left to right. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped that. My apologies. I just went right to the question. Okay, yes, okay, so Stephen, we'll start with you. 3 minutes to provide, just take the microphone and go ahead. The floor is yours. You can introduce yourself and provide any message you wish to the voters.
So yeah, my name is Stephen Daniel. My name is Stephen Daniel. I'm new to the city of Estevan. I moved here about a year ago. Retired. One of the biggest reasons why I moved to Estevan is because Estevan has a strong conservative population, and that really attracts me to Estevan. There's other things that I like about Estevan. And the year that I've been here, I met everybody's super friendly. I mean, I just love that about Estevan. You don't get that in big cities, which is where I've been most of my adult life. Sorry. Okay. There we go. So, did you guys hear what I said so far, or? No. Try it again? Okay. My name is Stephen Daniel. I'm new to Estevan. I moved here about a year ago when I started my retirement. One of the biggest reasons why I moved here is because Estevan has a strong conservative population, and that really attracts me to Estevan. Because I myself am a conservative, very strong conservative. I'm also running for council because I'm a strong fiscal conservative, and I believe in balance, logic, transparency, honesty, and common sense solution to problems and disagreement new to this, so let's see, what else can I say? So I guess one of the biggest reasons why I'm actually agreed to run for council is because in the last several decades, really, I've become extremely concerned with the directions that our present leaders are leading us, at all levels, federal, provincial, and municipal, and all that. And I find that overall they're not really leading the people, majority of the people, in the direction that the people desire. And I find that that's even in local communities as well. So I want to do my part in leading Estevan in the direction that I believe is the desire of the majority of the people of Estevan. So that's basically why I'm running, and just from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Dave Elliott.
Some of you might know me from being a DJ, so I'm going to say to everybody here, treat it like an ice cream cone, get it up nice and close, but don't lick it. A couple of guys approached me, I wasn't thinking about running, a couple of guys approached me and really pushed me hard, so you got to get in there. And part of it was about the mindset, the direction that we've taken over in the last number of years. Estevan has a habit of overspending on almost any project. But that's in the back of everyone's mind. So for me, it's just about trying to reel in that sailor on Fleet Week throwing money around sort of mindset and bringing it back to a bit of austerity. And the past council did pay off some of the debt. That's important to note. But then we had to go backwards on that again. I don't have any donors or any sponsors. You're not going to see my name or my face on signs around town because I was told nobody wants this face on the front.
Thanks, Dave. Tom, Mouse.
My name is Tom Mouse. I'm a newbie to this. I'm a little nervous. Bear with me. I grew up in Estevan. Graduated at Concord in 1975. With an age on me. I'm sort of the old guy out here. Then I moved away for literally almost a half a century. I lived in Europe, in Germany, Switzerland for many years working. I've always been interested in politics, and it was especially interesting over there. But through my work, I never had a chance to do that, and I'd like to get involved now. I think we've got a great little city. I love it that you can get anywhere within 10 minutes, basically, unless the train is on the track, which everyone kind of hates, I guess. But like I say, I'm new to this. I want to bring in a voice that's maybe seen other things, seen other countries, seen other ways of doing things, listening. I don't think there's a way that we'll get anywhere if one person or one group just says, this is what we have to do. We have to find a consensus for everything. And we should be able to talk about that in a respectful and proper manner. And that's where I am. I am married. I have 4 kids, 3 of them in Europe, 1 here, and I've got 3 grandchildren who I have to go visit in Switzerland regularly.
Thank you, Tom. Rebecca Ford.
Thanks so much. Can everybody hear me? Good? All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Rebecca Ford, and I'm running for mayor for the city of Estevan. For most of my life, I've lived in Estevan area. I grew up in Cocoon. Aside from the time that I went to university, Estevan area has always been my home. Through my life, I've been able to see the qualities that line a community. Integrity, resilience, and shared experiences are a few things that build a community and make it better. Making our community a better place is something that's been instilled into me from a young age. I was taught that serving others through a commitment of time, such as volunteering or stewardship through local government, is a way to make a whole community succeed. Success of a community only happens through time and energy of all of its members, and strong leadership in our organizations, including local government. We all do better when we work together to face the challenges and achieve goals. My strength as a leader not only comes from my formal education, which is a degree in political science, but it comes from my experience within the community. From my time with the United Way, which is one of my biggest passions, my experience helping run our family gravel business, my other community volunteer endeavors, and my 4 years from sitting on council, I've come to understand what makes our community unique and what we need to make it thrive. I believe I'll be a great mayor because I'm deeply connected to the community and to its people. I do everything I can, where I can, to make sure I'm advocating for our community because I see the issues that matter the most. I've sat with everybody, I've visited with people, I've seen the challenges that our community faces, I've seen the achievements that our community has, those big leaps and bounds, I've seen those, and I really look forward to being someone that helps not just talk about solutions, but I work to make them happen. My leadership approach is grounded in transparency, collaboration, and results. I believe that my contributions to the Tech Hub and its success is an example of those leadership-driven results. Where collaboration is involved, I've always believed that the best decisions are made when everybody has a seat at the table. That's why, as mayor, I'm going to prioritize open communication and community involvement. Together, we can tackle our most pressing challenges, from economic growth to sustainability, by using the strength of our collective voices and strong, committed leadership from City Hall and Council. I really look forward to earning your vote on November 13th. Thank you.
Zach Banner.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Zach Banner, and I am a first-time candidate running for mayor of Estevan. Born in Brazil, brought to Canada by my parents, Tony and Denise Banner, two amazing and very well-respected people who run a successful farm outside of food and own a dairy queen here in Estevan. My older brother, their biological son, Nick, and my sister, Danielle, who was also brought from Brazil, were also major factors in my life growing up. Right now, I'm blessed with my fiancée, Patrick, the chef, and 3 children, Ali, Liam, and Luca, whom I cherish and continue to love and support for the rest of their lives. Since going public about my candidacy, only one question has been my focus, and I assume everyone's here tonight. Why did I run for mayor? I decided to run because, like many others, I'm losing faith and trust in the politics. So I took it upon the old statement, put your money where your mouth is. I've been a very opinionated person when it comes to my stance on how citizens are run in our city. Not only do I believe that I am confident in restoring that faith in the community, but I do know I will regain trust back. This may be just one of those things, but my heart is focused on being that little drop of hope to bring that trust back into people's lives. I was asked also, what does my platform consist of? It's simple. The people. Everyone in Estevan knows everyone. It's safe to say that you do know most everyone in Estevan. With that being said, I've touched so many hearts of people in this community. I've been there for the troubles, and I've been there for the great. I've never thought twice about giving the support when needed or striking up a little conversation when asked. I see myself as a very popular person for 2 things. My humor, and of course my huge sense of care. And that's what my platform will be relying on. Compassion towards people. I am a person for the people. With a good impression and a smile on my face, that's what I always would leave people when they leave. That itself will mean that I will always work in the interest of the people of the community, not just the councillors. The people are what make Estevan the place that it is. My platform will be strongly directed towards family with young children and getting the proper means of daycare situated as I find it to be a crisis in our town. My platform will consist of generating money for the community and putting a cap on ridiculous ideas implemented by the previous leadership. The people of Estevan, including myself, need to know what money is being made and how much is being spent. I choose to make this platform transparent with these ideas table. My platform will also be focused on doing everything I can do to protect the natural resources and local businesses surrounding this community. That includes farmers, coal mines, and the oil companies in our community, nursing homes and daycare for doctors, will also be a focal point as well. Previously, Estevan's focus has been on beautifying the city and bending the money in that direction. As it is a good idea to make this place look a little bit more inviting, the time was not right. The decision was poorly handled. The people were not respected in that decision. I am one of those people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Humphries.
Hello, my name is Kevin. I've lived in Estevan for 42 years. I have a wife, 2 children, 4 grandchildren. I
Well, a little closer, Kevin.
Well, how much do I care about the community? Me and my wife have been standing on the corner for 2 years, trying to tell people what's going on. I know a lot more than my signs say, and I'll try to let people know what I know. One thing I have learned that I'm really concerned about, this city has not grown in 43 years since I've lived here, the same population. The business tax is third highest in Saskatchewan. Why can't we grow? Because we can't attract business. The way to attract business is first reduce taxes, reduce the debt, get more money to move. So those are my intentions. I know it's a large learning curve, but I'm willing to give it all I have. And hopefully it won't take too long to learn if I do get lucky. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Matthew Dubowski.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Dubowski, and I was born in 1997 here in Estevan. I've lived here ever since, and I'm only 26 years old, so I'm kind of the baby around here at this table. I think that Estevan is honestly a really great place in Saskatchewan. It is fairly unique. I've gone all around the province, mostly for attending car shows and just seeing the province from south all the way up to the north. And there's very few places like Estevan. And I would like to, as a council member, I would like to contribute to continuing on a rich history and legacy of what Estevan means to Saskatchewan, and make it that bright, shining beacon that we've kind of always been. And I think that there's been a lot of people that have come through here, that have been born here, and then left here with much success to their names. And I really think that everyone here deserves that same chance and opportunity to not leave Estevan with a bad name or anything, but to leave with being proud that they're from Estevan, and to bring us a proud name into the global stage, even like across the world and whatever. But yeah, sorry, I'm a little new to this, first time running and all that, so a little bit stuttery, but yeah, I just like to make help Estevan be very good and allow people opportunities that maybe some people don't have or won't get the option to have these opportunities with. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Robin Law.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Robin Log. Just like to little bit about myself. I'm not really great at speaking, so don't judge me for that. I don't get to do this very often. Anyways, I grew up in this town ever since I was 7 years old. I left here in my early 30s. I, went out west looking for, basically work took me out that way. While I was down here, I did my schooling, high school, middle school, all that sort of thing, a little bit of sports and stuff like that. I became a tradesman here in this city, worked in the oil patch pretty much all my life here. As I said, I moved west for a number of years, come back. I just moved back here about 4.5 years late, previous to today. And yeah, I was a little bit late. I was gonna throw myself in for the last election there, the last as a candidate. And I decided not to, just because I had quite a bit going on in my life at that time. But here I am. For what I don't make up an experience in politics and stuff like that, as I've told the radio and the news, I'm not a politician. Like, I'm really not. But what I make up in that loss, I make it up in life experience. I was a businessman for a lot of years up in northern Alberta, in the oil patch, had my successes. Life brought me back here, was wondering where I was gonna go after a little bit of an interruption, and that little interruption brought me back home to Estevan. I had opportunity in the States, had opportunity here, there, wherever, and yeah, here I am. There's a number of things that definitely brought me to running as a candidate for Estevan City Council, and that is definitely just how I feel inside. I'm just, to be really honest with you, it's disturbing watching the absurd, reckless spending on some of these projects that we've had going on since I've been back, and even before I left Saskatchewan. But since I've been back, it just seems like it's getting worse. Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Robin. Brian Hammond.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Hagel. I'm campaigning for City Council. I was going to shave nicely, buzz my hair, wear a dress shirt and a tie. That's not really who I am. This is who I am. I'm a redneck, born in Estevan. The only time I've left Estevan was when I went to university in Brandon, Manitoba, in Oklahoma. It is there that I developed my love, passion for history, for psychology, and most important, political science. It brings great disheartening to me to see the despair in our modern day community right now. Talks of this community divided is everywhere I hear. When I went to small market businesses, hearing about disperse and all that, and it's just, it drove me crazy. I find that the trust in the local government has eroded with unchecked spending and dishonesty. I won't give the common promises of lower taxes and better roads. I promise, though, to commit to reconnecting the city council with the community. I promise to commit myself to the common sense budgeting and expense discipline. We need to work with local businesses, not against them. Let's take the personal feelings out of municipal government and put city interests back in place. Let's get back to common sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Kirsten Williams.
For inviting me tonight. I'm really happy to see so many members of our community coming out, because I know that we all are looking for the same thing. A community that we can feel a part of, a community that we feel safe in, and a community that fills us with hope for the future. When I moved back from university 9 years ago, that's what brought us home. My husband and I really enjoyed our childhood here in Estevan and the connections that we had with family and friends. And since returning home, that's been our focus still. My training is as a registered nurse. I work at the hospital here in Estevan. My husband opened a new pharmacy a year ago, and together we're serving the community in that way as well. When I first ran for council, I also felt that heaviness of what the future might hold for Estevan. After 4 years being on city council and through the council appointed boards that we've been assigned to, I have a renewed sense of hope for the community. Those same volunteers that put on programs and raised me still exist in the community. And when I go out with my kids and we see all the opportunities that exist for them, I'm encouraged for the future. City Council has spent many years changing the tone of Estevan, beginning to invest on asset management. Things like replacing the leisure center roof and HVAC system are important upgrades to make sure that the same community that we know and love continues into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. Brian Johnson.
I would like to first thank the Estevan Concerned Citizens Group for hosting this event this evening. I would also like to thank all of the candidates for showing interest in the community and letting their names stand for Estevan Municipal Council. So thanks to the panel here this evening. You're really good members of this community for letting your name stand. And of course, to all the citizens of Estevan here tonight, attending or listening in at home, thank you very much. Thanks for Access, I believe, Communications for hosting the air view. Hi, my name is Brian Johnson. I was born and raised in Estevan, lived and worked and raised a family in this fine community of Estevan, and now I am fully retired. I'm here now back on the political stage once again. The community spirit all started for me a long time ago here in Estevan, volunteering to coach minor baseball. A team with some good youngsters, and we were very successful at becoming one of the contenders in the playoffs. Then years later, when you start having a family of your own, your kids get you involved and more involved in volunteering in the community, like coaching soccer or the pipe band, involved in that for sales and baking, and also installing and repairing lights over at the riding arena and horse barn and at the archery club. So there's many different things a person can get volunteering on and doing in this community, and you feel good about it. And this means a lot, and it was fun for our family and the organizations that we were involved in and connected with. Around this time, I first decided to run for city council, and there's been no turning back, to tell you the truth. So I just took on, when I was in city council, there was larger projects that come up that needed larger volunteer groups, and I found my place there and the time to do that with my part. So we planted trees in the community, we set up playground equipment in 2 of the city parks, just to name a few of the items. Once again, we had a lot of fun doing these events. What's my time, Bill?
You got 15 seconds.
So, thank you very much. So, I must say it's good to have such a good, large crowd here this evening, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Shelley Baroon.
Thank you, Miles. Thank you, Susan. Good evening. Thank you to the Concerned Citizens Group for hosting this event in order for people to get to know myself and my fellow candidates. My name is Shelley Verova. I've been on council for 2 consecutive terms. Estevan has been my home since 1987. I have a history with working in healthcare, and for the past 14 years, I have managed Creighton Lodge, which is an assisted living facility for seniors here in Estevan. I am a mother and a grandmother, and I have been a community volunteer for the past 25 years. I have always had a passion for working with people and to be involved in my community. Being a city councilor has been a great experience, and I have been able to discover what goes into making Estevan a community that we are all proud to call home. In the past 4 years, there have been quite a few large projects completed, some on their way to being completed. The 13 kilometers of pathways was a huge project that was started to be developed actually a few councils ago. Brian might have been on one of those councils. The grant application was put in, and once approved, the project was finally able to be completed. These pathways have been heavily used and appreciated by the citizens of Estevan. The pathways have allowed people to enjoy the benefits of physical activity, while also giving us more opportunities to socialize with our neighbors. Churchill Park is our newest park in the city, complete with the pool, the new change rooms, and a brand new play structure. That was chosen after multiple meetings with the public. Today, we have a park that we can all be proud of for our families to enjoy. The downtown revitalization is our current project that is meeting and nearing completion. I am confident that this project will be an asset for the city to be proud for generations to come. The Tech Hub is another great initiative that has grown in our community, with it being its first conference being held in Estevan this year. I look forward to seeing what the Tech Hub will bring to our city next, as they continue to look for ways to bring innovation to our community. One of the committees that I'm currently sitting on as co-chair is the Estevan Community Wellness Committee. This committee is focused on community safety and also building the community as a whole. Looking into the next term, something I want to continue to build on is community safety. We all talk about communication and how we need to continue to be transparent as a city. In my opinion, as a council, we have strived to be transparent in our decision making. As a council, we work with the management and the communication department. And if re-elected, I plan to continue to work together as a team to put out information regarding our city council meetings, the annual budget, and also the capital projects and the grants coming into our community. I am asking you for your support on November 13th to be re-elected as your voice on City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Tony, sorry.
I, Anthony Cernick.
Sorry, I turned it off.
Shelley?
I, Anthony Cernick, want to be your mayor. I moved to Estevan in 1988 and have never left. Estevan has always provided me with opportunity for success, and I want that for my children, and I want that for you. When I started this political journey in 2020, I did it knowing that our city is facing adversity like it's never faced before, and I wanted to be in that chamber making decisions. In the past 4 years as a councillor, decisions have been made, but more importantly, I cultivated relationships within our community and provincially with decision makers. The mayor's chair will enhance my visibility to advocate for the city within our community, with the surrounding RMs, provincially and federally. If chosen as your mayor, everything will revolve around 4 traits: professionalism. I witnessed way too many situations that were unprofessional. Leadership. I have endured 30 years of oil field adversity. Half of that time has been in managerial positions, whether it's a store manager or an area manager. Business development. This is my current profession. I have some ideas to advance our economic development initiatives. And number 4 is continuous improvement. We must continue to improve whatever we can, whether it's a shower head at the arena to the pipes below in your street. We will be better together. Thank you for the invite tonight. I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. We'll now move on to the question and answer portion of this evening. We'll ask any attendees that have questions for council to now come up and join in one of the chairs in the front so that you're ready when we call on you to ask your question. Concerned citizens will provide the first questions tonight while the people assemble on the side. And it's simply, what is your vision for the city of Estevan for the next 4 years if you were to be elected to council? And maybe drill down, some of you have already laid out a vision, maybe drill down on a few key items. Thank you. And we'll start with Dave Elliott. 2 minutes for each response, please.
My vision of anything that I would be a part of moving forward stems from the Kinsman stated stance, which is serving the community's greatest needs. I don't think that the major decisions that have been made in the last few years have served our city's greatest needs. We've got sidewalks just 1 block off of 4th Street that people with walkers can't use. Right? Heard about that just outside tonight. And not to take a shot at you, Tony, but I would think fixing every decrepit sidewalk in the city would be more important than a rink. And I know that's just an idea you have, a plebiscite you want to do, but I'm just saying, instead of a major project, we have so many smaller projects that could be done to improve the lives of everybody in the community. The small things add up, and they're also very easy to ignore.
those things would be my focus.
Thank you, Dave. Tom, Mouse?
Yeah. Vision for Estevan. Vision for Estevan is I'm a little put off right now. The vision for Estevan is keep the city alive, keep the city going. There's so many challenges that are coming from outside that we have absolutely no influence on, like federal and provincial level. And we're going to have to make a lot of decisions that way, and we have to face those, and we have to face them sort of in a rational and quiet manner. The vision being keep the city going, keep the city the great way it is with the 2 lakes that you can go fishing at or swimming in or things like that. I think there's one big vision that I have per se.
Thank you, Tom. Rebecca, Ford?
Thanks so much for the question. One of my visions for the next 4 years is a simple but a little bit complicated one. One of my first acts as mayor is just really making sure that the new council and the mayor are really driving together. We may not always agree on everything in the council chambers, and that's perfectly okay. But we can create an atmosphere of respect, we can create a positive culture within City Hall, and we can really make sure that everybody is empowered to learn and to grow together. I would really like to make sure that our new council is up to date before we reach our budget period, which is going to be 1 month after the election. And I would really like to offer the new council the opportunity to learn and grow as much as they possibly can. Another vision that I see for the community in the next 4 years is debt repayment. The city of Estevan has paid $30 million of debt off in the last 10 years. My goal is to make sure that that never happens ever again. We should have never had $30 million worth of debt to pay off. We still have debt to pay off, and I think that's really important. I believe that it's really important to pay that debt off while still building our infrastructure and making our community safe and healthy for everybody. To be able to walk down those sidewalks and not have any interferences if you do have any needs for a smoother sidewalk. I mean, everybody wants to walk in this community. Our pathways have shown that, and it's really important that our infrastructure supports every type of person in this community. So those are just probably gonna run out of time. So there's just a few things that I see for this community, but most importantly, I really want to create a positive culture for our community and really, really focus on communication with the community. I think we've seen some gaps where our communication could be better, and I really want to improve on that and just really work down on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Second, her. Yeah, no, you can.
Okay. Well, anyway, so my vision for the next 4 years. I kind of just jot these notes down quickly. I'd like to see a little bit more unity within the community. I know that there's been some projects that have caused a lot of tension to the people, and I want to bring that back. I want to make people just feel glad about the decisions that the council or the city has made. Inclusion. What I mean by inclusion is maybe table some more town hall meetings. Get the people involved. Let them know what is being talked about at council. Let them know where the money sits. What also I have is peace. I want to make sure that when everything is tabled, I want people to feel that there's a good sense of peace on the decision that has been made. I don't want any more bad mouthing. There's been a lot of that going on. We don't need that anymore in the city. And prosperity. I want the city to be more prosperous on the decisions that we've made and where our money goes to, so that everyone can be supportive of the decisions that we make. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Kevin Andrews.
What I see is we have to reduce that. That would allow us to reduce the taxes, which should let us grow. And our pet peeve, I guess, is I heard that the EPA lost their case for fluoride in water. Fluoride is declared a neurotoxin. I want the people to learn exactly what came out of that case, so they can decide if they want to continue using this poison. I think my biggest concern is the people of the West End don't really understand what's going on out there. Some of the things that are happening, the FCM, which is the Federated Canadian Municipalities, That's being bought tooth and nail in Ontario right now. Another part of that is local government and sustainability. PCP, Partners of Climate Protection, SDGs, United Nations Sustainable Development. All these things are carrying out our country. It starts in our local and small communities. That's how they got it. That's how they get us to work against each other. I want to inform people, make sure they know what's going on and what's coming. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin. Matthew Lebowski.
You're supposed to stand for this?
Please stand so people can directly see you.
My vision for Estevan is it's a city that is welcoming and prosperous for everyone, and a place of wide-ranging accessibility, whether it's physical accessibility, like mentioned with the sidewalks, or general accessibility of buildings and such, or something that's very important like mental health accessibility and medication accessibility. Making material conditions better is, I think, a very crucial part to improving everyone's lives, whether it's you or me, or the person down the street, whoever else. And that should be the most important thing, is just improving the general material conditions and surroundings of us all, so that we are positively impacted by the things that we do every day.
Thank you, Matthew. Robin Waugh.
My vision for the community is definitely number one, it's pay down the debt. Get control of any reckless spending thoughts. Definitely number two, unite the next sitting council. If we don't have any sort of unity within city council, nothing's gonna hum along, everything's just gonna be, it's just gonna be 4 years of madness. I know there's a number of people with different thoughts that are running for city council and mayor. That's fine. That'll bring, hopefully a group of different minded people together with strong values, strong thoughts, and with any luck, a little bit of common sense we can throw into the mix. Without common sense, people, we really don't have a whole bunch. And I don't care what level of government it's at, whether it's municipal, whether it's provincial, and whatever we want to call that out east. All right? Okay, thank you.
That's Ryan Hagel.
Thank you very much. To support off of what Robin said, common sense back in the city. Our vision for Estevan is a decreased commercial tax so that we can have commercial growth. More growth equals more population. For 40 years, we've been stagnated. For 10 years, let's at least make it 15,000. I want a more transparent city council. I want one that's willing to admit when they're at fault and make errors. And on top of that, I want no pet projects. No, and we need to finish big projects before we move on to another big project. Thank you. That's my vision.
Thanks, Ryan. Kirsten Walliser.
When I think about my vision for the future, I really want to emphasize some of the positive changes we've already seen within the community. Prior to my term on council, the sidewalk renewal program was already in place that made sure each year there were dedicated funds going to replace what can be up to 100-year-old sidewalks in our community. And although it doesn't happen all at once, there is steady improvements throughout the community. Over the past 4 years, council has done one underground replacement of water and sewer lines each year, and you can already see the benefits of that because there's less water breaks than there used to be, which results in a cost savings to the community that can then be reinvested in the next infrastructure project. So moving forward, those type of small but steady improvements are where my focus lies. Things like play parks are another project that does need to keep your eye on it, because we have 11 play parks in our community and they only have a 20-year lifespan. So each time a project is deferred, there's a makeup needed. And I think regardless of what the projects are, having that regular and intentional investment to them is my focus moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirsten. Brian Johnson.
So, listen, folks. Last time I checked, Estevan has become known as the energy capital of Saskatchewan. In this area, we have oil, gas, and coal reserves still producing to this day. Mother Nature has offered us wind, water reserves, and sun. The city of Estevan is the sunshine capital of Canada. 3,536 hours of sunshine and the highest annual number of hours per year with clear skies in the country. So, Estevan has a lot to offer for the residents and business opportunities in the southeast, in these fields, in these areas. We're blessed. We must consider that we are truly blessed as a community. Estevan is a safe, clean, and well-run community. You do not have to venture far from the city to understand and see the hardships that other communities are trying to address nowadays. So, some of the goals would be in healthcare, doctors, technicians, nurses, working there hard, trying to get more of them valued healthcare technicians in those areas coming to Estevan. The MRI project is huge for Estevan. We need to see that come to fruition. Also, the new regional nursing home. Money is raised, money's there. Started when I was on city council. I hear we found a plot of land out west by the hospital that's been selected. That's great. We need to get these projects going. The community's waiting. Seniors are waiting. This is something that needs to happen. Another one I'd like to see is growth and prosperity for the young citizens of Estevan to have available jobs to stay here in Estevan. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Shelley Rowland.
Thank you. Yes, and so continue with debt repayment. I've heard a few people speak about how we've fallen backwards. We haven't been paying back debt. I'd just like to correct that. Since 2017, over $18 million in debt has been paid back. At the end of 2023, the debt was just over $12 million. So, unless I'm proven wrong, I believe we're still on track to pay back some debt this year too. So, again, $250,000 is annual in the budget right now for sidewalk repair. So when people say that we have sidewalks that are in total disrepair, yes, because for a long time, they were pushed off, maybe not seen as something that was important. Now we're recognizing that that was important. So something that got pushed out of the budget, because when you put something in the budget, you usually have to push something out. So something got pushed out of the budget in 2017, and that was the pathway program. So again, our city managers continued to put in for grants, and that's how we got our pathway systems through a grant program. So $250,000 annually for the sidewalks has been, and as Councillor Walliser spoke about earlier, when we do the infrastructure, we usually also put a sidewalk in on those streets. We have, in the last few years though, had a street that asked not to have a sidewalk put in. So sometimes we look at the people who are actually living on that street, and we do listen. The other thing is the safer community. I will continue to fight for that and strive to continue to promote Estevan as a safe community. I have lived in a community before where you cannot walk at night. Estevan, you can still walk home at night safely. So again, there's neighborhood watch programs, there's walk parent programs, there's lots of different programs. So for anybody that's looking to get involved, we have committees for you.
Thank you, Shelley. Tony Smith.
Thank you. The reality is items and issues come at you fast and keep you busy. But of course, you're going to need goals. And mine are simple. First and foremost, get that downtown buttoned up and energized. Number 2 is economic development. We have what the world wants, land and water. So land, we're gonna compile a list of the inventory we have, residential, commercial. We're gonna get all the realtors in a room, and we're gonna come up with a plan to start filling these lots. Hopefully, the college has the heavy equipment course going again, and with the land as well. The Glen Peterson industrial area, which we spent a lot of money on years ago, has never been utilized. We hopefully use that heavy equipment course to fix up those lots a bit better, to make them more attractive, and get that area going. Water. Our water plant runs at a 40% utilization rate. We need to find customers for that water. Weyburn needs a water plant. Let's run a pipeline. So those are my ideas there. The other goal will be infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. We need to continue to improve our infrastructure no matter what it is. This will make Estevan a city where you want to live and move. And last but not least, I've compiled a list of ideas or concerns from citizens. They can be from my water drains not draining on the street, do we need lights, something like that. But anyways, I have a list compiled, and that will be a goal over the next 4 years, is to get through that list in depth and help those people out. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And back to the end, Stephen Down.
Okay, so I'm relatively new, well, I am new to Estevan, so I don't know a lot of the issues and everything like that, but I will be learning very quickly. So my vision at the moment is, for me, I agree with some of what was said here. I strongly desire to see Estevan prosper and grow. Stagnant is not a good thing, and it shouldn't be. And I think one of the areas of getting Estevan to be prosperous is to lower the taxes. I've been told that Estevan has the 3rd largest tax in all of Saskatchewan, and I don't understand why that is, so I'd like to look at that. The other things is in line with that as well, is like the new budget transparency, obviously, and common sense solution that all those. As for development of other things, that's an area I'm going to have to quickly learn about, so I can't address that too much at this point. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. With that, we'll go to questions from the attendees. So, yep, if you just take the mic, just state your first name and that you're an eligible voter, and then ask your question. Thank you. And the candidates will have each 2 minutes to respond.
Can everyone hear? Okay, great. My name is Mark, and yes, I'm an eligible voter. My question is, in recent years, we have seen how diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI policies, have had a negative impact on both the government and private sector. At a time when families are concerned about inflation, the cost of groceries and gas and things like that, how would you, if elected, justify focusing on and implementing such highly controversial and divisive policies here in Estevan? Thank you.
Tom Moss will give you first opportunity to respond.
DEI, yeah, that's a very controversial subject in many cities. Can we, any civilization sort of judged on not what our actions?
Yeah, please stand. Thanks, Tom.
And judged on how the weakest in the civilization are taken care of, not necessarily the strongest. How can we justify keeping people away from doing certain things and say we're a just society? Can we keep people from not being able to do something? I'm going to say something very quick. Sorry, thank you. How can we keep people from doing something just because they're possibly not mobile enough? I can't justify that by myself. I think we should include everyone, And yes, it does cost money. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, but it can be dealt with at a planning level, and it can be dealt with at a realistic level.
Thank you, Tom. Rebecca?
Thank you so much for your question, Mark. I believe some of your question comes from the DEI policy that was adopted from council in the last meeting that we had. That DEI policy, I believe was explained in a great way by Councilor Walliser. It was a large document to get through, so just to sum it up, Estevan, the city of Estevan's DEI policy, as it stands right now, and as I want to continue to implement, is just asking 3 simple questions. Who's included? Who are we leaving out? And what can we do to make sure that those people who are not included are being included? A good example of this would be, I don't know if anybody's been into the rink recently, we have new doors at Affinity Place. When you're walking into Affinity Place, if you are in a wheelchair, maybe you're pushing a stroller, maybe you just have accessibility needs, those doors now, you don't have to press the button and wait for it to open and hit you, or you have to back up, they actually slide open. So those questions were asked when we were talking about those rink doors, and this was before a DEI policy was introduced, but we were trying to figure out some of the gaps in infrastructure in our community, like our rink doors. When you press the button, those doors, you didn't have to move, so you didn't get hit by the doors. So it was really important for us to be able to find a way to include the people who were not being benefited from those doors. I know in other countries, and even in our own country, DEI has become a very divisive thing. In how the city of Estevan implements DEI is just simply trying to include everybody we possibly can through things like making sure our parks, our facilities, everything, our organizational facilities, everything is accessible for people. Everything is open for people and makes people feel like they can come out and be a part of our community. And it makes them feel a little bit more welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Zach, I'm here.
Mark, I'm gonna keep it simple. It won't be tabled, the idea won't be tabled with me as well. I find DEI it's a waste of time and money, to be honest. I see that because we want to hire people on merit. We want to see people the way we have already in the past 20 years without the program implemented. I'm sorry, but I mean, for a farmer, you're not going to send out a draft for her to work her cattle, are you? No. If I'm elected as mayor, it's a responsibility that reflects back on me. If I hire the wrong person or bring on the wrong person because of their going after their attributes, that reflects on me. And the people will see that as well. So as for the DEI program, no.
Thank you, Zach. Kevin Andrews.
Well, I'm also against the, that's why the vote was moving against it right now. Why it was moving against it, I have no idea. Maybe because the city council's lost their way, I don't know, but I would get rid of it, along with FCM and the other things I mentioned. They're all destroying cities across the world, actually, because it's a UN-driven agenda. So those will all be not talked about. As far as doors, that's really the same thing. Of course we can do that. That's just nonsense. That has nothing to do with the, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Matthew Dabowski.
That was a very loaded question, but thank you. It's something that is important. DEI, as I understand it, as it was brought up with past council, is not just all about forced employment, or how can we force changes in the city to include someone from somewhere else. The way I understand it, as it was presented, is if an issue arises and a solution is presented, how can we think about the people that maybe you wouldn't naturally think about, or maybe the people that you don't typically see around in your neighborhood or in your circles or however have you. So I don't think it's as big of an issue as something like a legitimate issue of affordability and how can we afford gas, how can we afford groceries. I think those are much more important issues that are really not attributed to something like DEI, at least not in the very minuscule way that it's presented here. So yeah, I think in general, it's just a part of accessibility. How do we include everyone into living in Estevan and having all the positive material conditions that everyone should get in a city as good as Estevan?
Thank you, Matthew. Robin Watt.
All right, the question that I was really afraid of. Okay, there's gonna be some haters out here, there's gonna be some lovers out here. Remember that beautiful beer company called Bud Light? Remember? DE&I. What did that do to that company? It pretty much crushes everything. All right? Now, let's just back again. Let's just use some common sense again. If you see somebody walking up to a small business that doesn't have an automatic door, doesn't have, great access to somebody with a walker or a wheelchair, hold the door open for them. Common sense. Do we need to spend, I believe it was 300 grand that we're gonna get ourselves involved with DE&I here in Estevan? For the city of Estevan? Like, are you kidding me? We can spend 300 grand a little bit wiser somewhere else. All right, just common sense when it goes to that. I worked at a company at one time. We ended up having one of the hands, he ended up becoming paralyzed. He wasn't able to do any more, labor type of work. He couldn't work in the shop anymore. The position they give him, a desk job, they turn him into a dispatcher. The guy done great. He was more than capable of doing that job. You don't need to make special paths for this thing that's been, I'm just gonna guess, quagmired up by, once again, the people that control us all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Brian Hayden.
Thank you very much. Mark, right? Well, thank you for the question, Mark. Summarize it. Was the question basically DEI over family?
No, how do you justify implementing those policies?
You can't. Honest, you can't. When you work at a job, you should be hired by, as my colleague Zach said, skills and merit. That's what you should be hired on. We have accessibility laws for doors. We have accessibility laws for ramps. I have a friend in Oklahoma, he lost his leg. He has accessibility from, he gets a leg prosthetic, and he walks. He can do his job, he can drive a car. If a person is absolutely disabled, we have laws so that these individuals can live a normal life. But in the workplace, it has no reason to exist in the workplace. Skills and merit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Kirsten Walliser.
Thank you for the question. I know this has brought up a lot of discussions throughout our community, and I think they're important discussions to have. Your question was partially answered during the September 25th council meeting in response to the concerned citizens' request. At that time, I did specify the total cost to the city of Estevan for the implementation of our unique and specific diversity, equity, and inclusion program was $600. 600 was the financial commitment made on your behalf to ensure that a baseline assessment could be completed, so that when new counselors show up to the job, they can look back and see where did the city of Estevan stand from a diversity, equity, and inclusion standpoint at this time in 2024. No commitment was made to changing employment policies. No commitment was made to further expenses. My goal, bringing the policy forward, was to help intentionally remind us with each and every decision about the uniqueness of the people who call Estevan home, and that each individual has a different lived experience. They have different needs. They have a different historical background that maybe projects them onto greatness, or maybe it hinders and harms them? And how can we as elected officials continue to pay attention to those differences and offer the same opportunities to the community? So as a parent with young kids in the community, I think it is incumbent upon myself to make sure that the decisions I make create an equal, fair, prosperous future for my kids and all the other kids in Estevan as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. Maybe, Kirsten, if I could just follow up with a point of clarification. I don't want to turn this into a debate or anything, but through some of the comments that was made by Robin, through the Concerned Citizens Network, we had got some information through that came from the city administration that an estimate of an implementation of the DEI policy was going to run somewhere $250,000 to $300,000. And now maybe that was for a full implementation possibly in next fiscal year or whatnot. And you did explain that the current cost is only $600. Could you just bring some clarity to that? Is there any truth to that rumor or not? Thank you.
Thank you for following up, Miles. As a current city councillor, I have not come across a report. There has been nothing presented to council with that price tag attached to it. Our commitment was outlined in the August meeting, and that commitment was to pay for the salaried time of employees to take the survey, and that was the total cost.
Thank you. Brian Johnson?
I stayed tuned in the council meeting that you did present this forward, and I read your article and what you had to say on it, and thank you, Kristen, for bringing it forward. I also, I'm leaning towards this program as being more and more acceptable nowadays for, I'm going to say, businesses, for communities, for senior homes, for anybody out there. You can't be viewed as being discriminatory or leaving a minority out nowadays. Minorities count in your community. Their voice counts. We have to accept that the world is changing at a very fast pace. We have to keep up with those changes. Some of those changes that we make may be small, like $600 for crying out loud. That's not much. If that's what this policy is all about, great. Training the city staff for whatever it was, 2 hours, take them out of their office and bring them to a training course, great. I mean, that's great. They might have people working for them in the field, and they have to deal with those people. And they have to find jobs that they can get to and work at. If they become injured or if something happens, they can voice their concerns nowadays. There's a whole litany of rules and regulations in the Occupational Health and Safety Committee for Saskatchewan. Those things are made by legislation of Saskatchewan. You can't break some of those rules. Some of these things that I think we are talking about here tonight and mentioning, we better be careful if we feel so strong that we don't have to, I'm going to say, recognize those considerations, because we could be in for trouble or a big surprise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Shelley Brewer.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, so listening to everybody's comments, I might be a little naive when it comes to DEI, but the policy that I heard was presented to City Council was asking those questions. Who's included? Who are we leaving out? What do we need to do to include everybody? And then the backlash came. And I kind of sat back and thought, wow, maybe this is a bigger conversation than I gave thought to in that meeting. But I think I'm pretty lucky, because when I walk into a room, I usually feel included. I usually don't have to worry if someone thought about me before coming. I've had friends who have said when they've left a place, I wasn't included. They didn't take my diet into consideration. They didn't do this, they didn't do this, and I don't know. Do it yourself. But some people can't. And that is what a city councilor needs to do, is look at who lives in the city of Estevan. Who needs to be included? And we did it at Churchill Park. Churchill Park was going to be constructed in 2023. We slowed the project down and we brought it back to the citizens of Estevan. We held groups, we held open houses, and we asked everybody what needs to be put at Churchill Park so that your family feels included. So again, the policy that was brought to the city of Estevan in the final meeting, I didn't realize it was going to kick up this kind of storm or have those kind of comments, but for $600 it was money well spent.
Thank you, Shelley. Tony Stern.
After my investigation into this, the city already has these policies in place. Therefore, what was introduced is nothing more than policies on top of policies, which is a waste of time.
Thank you, Tony. Stephen Dowden.
Hi. I've done some reading concerning DEI, and from what I've read, I'm not a fan of it. I find that DEI is very divisive, and there's no need for it. As for the minorities, I'm not saying minorities don't count, but what I don't fully understand is why people think the minorities don't have the same rights, freedoms, and opportunities as everyone else. I mean, they have the same rights, freedoms, and opportunities as everyone else, and I don't think they're excluded from anything. So, if I'm voted, if I'm elected as council, and this comes up to a vote, I'll be voting no. Because like I said, I think it's divisive. And I think more than that, I think DEI is a plague on our society. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. Dave Elliott.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Mark. I don't have a clue. I watched that meeting. I didn't understand it. To me, DEI would be making sure you have at least one wheelchair accessible playground in the city. Not all of them, but one. To me, that's DEI. But I probably don't understand it. So.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, we'll go to our next question.
Okay, I've changed my question a few times. I'm a registered voter here. I've been all my life.
Please, just state your first name.
Okay, my name is Alan Doherty. I have to watch what I say because I'm the husband of the wife over there. So, what I have to say is, there's too much stuff, but anyways, what's happened is, I've noticed in the council here, in the last two councils and a little bit of the last 12, 13, 14 years, what's happened is I found that a lot of council members are not really aware of what's going on in the community. I've run into that last fall. Two council members didn't have a clue that we're putting a road up at past our place in King Street Community College. So I'm really, there's other things that's gone on in the community. I find what's happened is in the past that certain people's been running the show and the council members are told what to do. And in our case, when I went to ask council people questions, well, they were told not to talk to us. And here we are, they talk about fiscal management and stuff, and the amount of money you're going to spend on a facility in the back door would have paid for the street lights probably, or the benches and all the parks on Main Street. So my question to the rest of the council people, are you going to use your own thought process and not listen to the public, rest of the people that are in council, or are you going to decide for yourself and you're going to go and talk to people? Because I find it very same thing. As an older person, not everybody has access to the internet, so maybe some of you council people should have the cell phone on there so people can access it. And that's what I'm saying, a little bit more access and definitely openness in the community, what's going on, and not saying I can't talk to you, and the end result, it costs everybody money here. So I want to thank all the new people for stepping up to the plate, and I want to thank some of the guys that here that already ran again, because it has been a lot of BS that's gone on, and some of you guys know that too. So I appreciate you guys coming out, and you can just honesty is what we want. Like he said, he didn't know the answer, but he kept it real, and he told us he didn't try to bullshit. And that's all I want from you guys, is to keep it real.
Thank you, Rob. So, could I just summarize your question is, will you as a councillor be more engaging with the public? Okay. Rebecca, Ford, please.
Thank you so much for your question, Al. I think you bring up a really good point, and I think it's going to be a topic of conversation a lot tonight. It already has been. Communication in our community is so important, and I think some of that communication has been lost. I think the communication from our city hall, from the mayor's office, can be a lot better. When we think we're, advertising something once on social media, maybe we need to advertise it 10 times. Maybe we do need to take more into account the people who choose not to have social media. We need to advertise a lot better on things. I would personally like to start communicating with our community so much that it annoys the heck out of absolutely everybody. If we're redoing a street, if we're closing a street, I would like everybody to know it 10 times, so that when somebody asks, you can say, oh yeah, I knew that street was being closed, and this is why. And I think that piece of communication really comes and starts from the mayor's office. Strong leadership in the mayor's office creates and empowers our city staff and our other council members to be able to talk to the community and to be able to be knowledgeable when they are speaking to the community, and to be able to communicate with them however they choose to communicate, but at least they will have all the facts. I think the time of council members finding information out from the community is done. It really needs to change, and I think that having a strong leadership in the mayor's office is going to really be the thing that changes that, so that we can create a better culture within our community, and again, to be able to have a good open dialogue with the residents in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Zach, down here.
What happened to your place downtown has been on my mind for quite a while. So if elected, that's something that I wanted to kind of communicate with you about what could be done properly in that situation, right? I haven't advertised shit for this whole campaign thing. Why? Because I've actually been going out on foot. I've been talking to people on their cell phone, and I've been just meeting with them, like just in person. Because that means more to me, and I think that they expect that I'm going out and doing the same thing too. Instead of just expecting people to see my sign out there and think that I'm doing the same thing. I've also mentioned in my speech that was cut short that I am just a people person. You want to come talk to me? I'm a very approachable person. Even if I don't know you from a hole in the ground, you can still talk to me. And I'll make sure that you feel noticed and respected.
Thank you, sir. Kevin Andrews.
Like I said earlier, that's one of my big goals, is communication. It's not being done. I asked questions to city council, a bunch of questions in April and March of this year. Got no answers. Just go look at the estimate page or whatever. There is no communication between the city council and the people. That I would want to change.
Thank you, sir. Matthew DeBoski. Sir Kevin, sir.
That was a really good question, so thank you for that, and also thank you for simplifying it. I do believe that being a part of city council means much more than just the people that run the show, the people that run the city and all that. It also means being an actual resident in the city which you represent and which you run. So it would be very important for city council to be on the ground, walk around the city, even if you're like going out for groceries, just walk or drive that extra 15 minutes, drive around the city, and just see the place that you represent, that you live in, and talk to people if you have a question about, if you want to ask some random person about, hey, how do you feel about this? And I'll be honest, it probably won't be the easiest for me because I'm not a whole big people person, but that's part of the process of being in the running for this. Transparency is a really big importance to having an effective city council and just advertising what is happening, not only with the city, but what the council is planning as well. Not everyone reads newspapers, not everyone uses Twitter, not everyone uses Instagram, Facebook, or all these other different apps. It's very hard to keep track. And I only just started reading a newspaper like a few months ago, but I guess that means I'm getting old, right? Just being transparent and being a part of the place in which you actually live, I think, is the best way to do transparency and be more involved as a council.
Thank you, Matthew. Robin Watt.
Well, not much I can do standing up here right now, but if elected, please, anybody sees me in my driveway, in my yard, at a coffee shop, around and about town, stop me, talk to me. I want to know what's on your mind. There's not much I can do to help and state any concerns with other council members or the mayor if I don't know about it. I'm pretty approachable. Honestly, that's about where I stand on it, and I'll do everything I can do to have your voice heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Brian Hill.
Thank you for the question, Al. I'm in full agreement with you. I myself would personally keep using cell phones. I'd rather talk to a person straight out in the face. So I agree that city council should be there. A council member, mayor, or just a council member should be there at ground zero when the big screw up happens and talk to the people that they face. Otherwise, you're just, let's be honest, just a name. We're elected officials. We're not super anything. So when there's a problem, we need to be there with the people physically and in person. But there's another question you asked in your question that really caught my interest. Use your own thought process. I like that. I'm just wondering if you guys would approve of a council member that wasn't afraid to rock the boat, that wasn't afraid never to abstain, either vote yes or no, because they need to let the council know what people think. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. Kristen Woolley.
Thank you, Al. I do want to acknowledge that when elected in 2020, the instructions to council were that it was our choice how much information was shared on the website. And at that time, I was most comfortable only sharing my City of Estevan email address. That doesn't mean I'm not out in the community, engaging with people, using the interactions I have both professionally as a nurse, but also when I'm out with my children to have people ask those questions and engage in that discussion. But I do think that an opportunity was missed this last term by not having my cell phone number on the website, and that is something that I would change moving forward. But the other thing I would try and convince the community of is to really think about your role as the electorate. How do you reach out to council too? If you have a burning question and you see me at the grocery store, stop me. If you are interested in the infrastructure projects in the community, download the Voyant Alert app and you can follow along with each closure that happens in the community in real time. If you have a passion project and you want to get it in front of council, give us a call because our role is to work alongside you. So thanks for the question, Al, and some changes I would like to see moving forward.
Thank you, Kirsten. Brian Johnson.
Thanks for the question, Al. And when I was on city council from 2000 to 2016, I had personal business cards printed for myself as city councilor with my home phone number on, my cell phone number on, and my email address on. I distributed them to customers, to citizens, to business owners in the community. I went to see your problems, Al. It was over there around the back alley of the Orpheum Theater, and I visited you with some of your concerns. I've talked to many people about the flooding concerns we had in 2011, 2012. People got on the horn, they gave me a call, gave me a shout, I responded. Like I said, I was not shy to put my name out there. I was not shy to talk to Mr. Watt when he phoned me up. That had been your dad, Robin. He phoned me up numerous times, telling me what's right, what's wrong, what we should be doing better. He was quite the man. So you know, I dealt with all kinds. I dealt with ladies that were having issues with, I say, stray cats in their yard and doing the bad thing in their gardens and the flower beds, like you name it. We worked on a lot of things together. I had a lot of good answers, good replies. I tried to get back to the citizens when I was hopeless with concerns that I couldn't address, and they understood. I sometimes would get a hold of the city manager and, you know, tell them they need a bylaw control officer over in this yard right away. And so did other councillors who voiced those concerns. I see one sitting here tonight that was very opportunity about voicing his concerns about unsightly properties. But I thank you for that question, Al. It's a good question. We need to get engaged with the community.
Thank you, Brian. Shelley Brooks.
Thank you, Al, for the question. Yeah, I agree, city council needs to be available. I am available, my cell phone's always been out there. If I can't get the phone call right away, it does go to my voicemail. I've always returned the calls, I've always returned the emails, and sometimes we get emails back that are consistently already been answered, but then they continue and come back. And so sometimes we get treated very poorly by the community. And that's okay sometimes because that's the job that we signed up for. And I always have been able to talk to people, even if there's a disagreement. We just sometimes need to calm it down, talk about it, figure it out. And Kevin, you mentioned that the city council was not approachable, that we didn't communicate. I don't know if you remember that night in council when I came up to you and I asked if we could have a minute and we could speak. You declined. So sometimes there's two sides to every story. And when somebody wants to speak, if it's not time for the other person to speak, that's okay too. So sometimes we gotta keep coming back. So I'm still here, Kevin, and I'm still open to speak with you if you ever want to.
Thank you, Shelley. Tony Stern.
Thank you for the question, Al. Trait number one, professionalism. We're going to be nice to people. We're going to be respectful to people. And we are going to build relationships within this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Stephen Downey. Is it on? Okay. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in communication as well. For me, my form of communication is reading and writing. I'm a big fan of reading and writing. I like to read things. I like to take time to reply to things. I'm not as good off the cuff of my mind and everything like that. Some people are phenomenal at that. Me, not so much. Like I said, I'm a reader and writer, but I am a firm believer in communication, honesty, and transparency. And so I would do my best, my absolute best, to listen to the voices of the people and vote according to the majority of the majority desires. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Dave Elliott.
Yeah, probably gonna sound like everybody else. Yeah, all for it. Working in the oil patch with engineers, sometimes you have to train engineers. Don't tell them that though. But you have to be able to get the message through clearly and concisely. And if you don't, then you have most often confusion and anger, as was mentioned, right? So definitely communication is going to be key for any council moving forward. And I'm not sure what they've got set up for communication with council, but sounds like it could be improved.
Thank you, Dave. Tom Hunts.
Well, Al, let me thank you. Everyone's been thanking you, that's good. There's an awful lot of consensus here at the table. They want communication and we all welcome it. And even if it's critical communication, even if it's you're bellyaching on something, go for it in a sort of a respectful manner, obviously. But yes, I agree with it completely. We should all be reachable. Any one of the people up here who is in a new council should be reachable and should answer any question and any concern that you have at any time.
Thank you, Tom. With that, we'll get to another question. State your name and if you're an eligible voter, please.
How much time do I got? You're gonna cut me off? All right. Okay, I'm thinking maybe order some donuts or something because this could take a long time. My name is Al Shaw. I am a very concerned taxpayer of this city. Ever since 2015, this city has gone to shit. Excuse my language. Somebody doesn't like my language, I apologize. But I tell you one thing, everybody's talking about communication. There's no such thing as communication in our city council. There's a lot of things that have been unapproved by us as the taxpayer that the city council goes and does it anyway. They don't care about us, they just care about our money. That's all they care about. So my question to you, if elected, can I ask a multi-question or just one question? Dang. My one question, if elected, to all of you is, let's start with, on what finance area, department, that you will change to stop this idiotic spending.
Okay, thank you. No. We'll start Zach and her. Look, please, could you come and just state your question once again? It's a little confusion on what your exact question was. Yeah, I think so.
My question to you is, in what department will you, as new city council, start in preventing this chaotic spending of money, of my tax dollars, of these people's tax dollars, everybody out here, the spending that is giving the city money to spend? Like, I can start by naming off, good Lord, I don't know how many things in this town that is ungodly, mistaken, stupid. And it has got to stop.
Okay, so the question, I guess, can I summarize your question is what's a major area, what department of the city you could see maybe where the city could save some money? I think, is that fair? Or change, just to save money. There you go. So what would be a primary area in the city's budget that you could see to save money? To a department or something that in some form of spending that's going on?
I'll be honest, I'm pretty inexperienced when it comes to what departments there are and what money is allocated to where. That question would be better off for Shelley, Tony, Kirsten, and Rebecca, right? If I was to want to try to save money, I think it'd be along with it. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, because I have to get into this situation. I have to be elected to see what the budget's at, where the money's being spent. Yes, I guess everyone's upset about what the city's been spending money on. We've heard it 100 times throughout this whole town hall tonight. There's frustration, but that's what's causing the division in this city, is that frustration. The name calling and everything, that can come to a stop right here, right now. Can it not? Why don't we just start uniting as people here tonight at this town hall, so we can move forward peacefully and respectfully with the other council members and the new council members coming on.
Thank you, Zach. Kevin Andrews?
Because I'm a first timer, I don't know. I'll just have to learn as we go along. I know it's gonna be a long learning curve, and hopefully I can get through it as fast as I can. That's all I can say. I know I wanna cut taxes, I know I wanna reduce the debt, where to do all that stuff. That's gonna be when you get inside and learn the system. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Matthew DeBoski?
That's a really tough question, and honestly not something I believe I have the answer to, as I've never been a part of council. This is the first time doing any of this for me, so I don't know the inner workings of budgets, who's allocated to what part of the budget, and how they deal with money or any of that. So yeah, I don't know any of that. So yeah, sorry to disappoint, but yeah, that's just a really tough question for maybe somebody who's never been a part of council or knows the inner workings of all that. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Robin Wong?
Well, as a businessman, ex-businessman, I know what it takes to keep the wheels turning. I know what it takes to keep your business profitable. Is there anything wrong with kind of looking at a community, looking at a government as a profitable organization? The budget, there's kind of a Fisher-Price sort of version of the budget. I do believe it's available on the City of Estevan's site. All right. Yeah, you betcha. Like I kind of had a little breeze through it there, back in January, I believe. And it doesn't have a lot of breakdowns of where the spending is going, but it's vague, but it gives you a bit of an idea. So it's all there, the numbers are there, what comes in, what goes out, all the expenditures, the little bits that are, collected and whatnot. The last year did have a debt repayment plan until the downtown thing, and then I know that definitely got curtailed for a year, so that some of that could come out of that budget and go, as a contingency toward extra expense downtown. Okay, I kind of get that. Al, in regards to your question, I think what we need to do as a council, be extremely responsible with all your taxpayers' money, no matter what kind of new project can be dreamed up. I think we can make our two little categories, the needs, the wants, what the city really needs, like maintain the city. Okay, maintain the city, or do we need that want? For me, it's kind of, I can push those socks for another week. Personally. Or, it would be nice to have new ones. But, you know what? We'll just have to use some common sense as we go along. And we'll unite our heads, we'll unite our ideas, and we'll come up with a plan for what's best for the city, what's best for all the people of the town. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Ryan Hale.
Thank you for the question. First thing, the flowers. We don't need to plant and water and waste the manpower and the money every year. We could get, I learned a new word, perennials. Yeah. Or we use elementary school, get the kids to paint rocks and have nice little rock mosaics throughout the year. That'll be the first thing I would get rid of. Try to save taxpayers' dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Question.
Kirsten Willinger.
Thank you. Since moving home in 2015, I've always been very interested in the budget process because that's the time at which the city communicates to the community where are the priorities, where are those dollars going to work in the upcoming year, and that draft budget is presented to the community in hopes that there's feedback. And often City Council doesn't receive feedback on the budget as presented, even when we solicit it from community organizations and community members. Since being elected in 2020 and being responsible for the budget, it's important to acknowledge how hard city managers are expected to work to keep their expenses low. We are all experiencing the impact of inflation, and despite that, our management team has been asked year over year to offer the same level of services to our community without seeing those inflationary increases. And a lot of that has been able to be achieved because of paying down debt. With less money going towards interest payments, we can still meet the contract obligations for salary increases for our employees without passing those costs on to the taxpayers. And that's the type of accountability that I would like to continue to move forward in the next term. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. Brian Johnson.
Thank you for your question this evening, and basically what I recollect of all the deliberations with City Council and budget times, most of those binders that we had, and some of it went on to iPads in the later years, but they were fairly thick binders, and they were really broken down, and there was a lot of explanation and justification into the needs and into the assessments and into the wants of the community. So we were really well informed in beginning years when I was on council. We went away from that, and it got to be a little bit more streamlined because we thought that we were spending a lot or maybe too much time trying to allocate the money for the community. I think we lost something there. I think we have to go back maybe and revisit some of those ideas. If it takes to go out to the Estevan Tourist Information Site that's just west of town here, like I did last week, and take a look and walk around there and see how everything is, for those outdoor displays, making sure that they're all running and tickety-boo and the windmills going around. But I look at some of these other things that are out there, like that old steam engine that we got there from the mines, and that thing is going to need a sandblast and it's going to need a new coat of paint. So if that comes forward, I know a little bit more about it. You got to educate yourself, basically, as a counselor. You got to go out there, you got to walk to those, I'm going to say, areas, and you got to ask the questions. You got to sometimes even get involved. Another good thing that we had was a 1, 3, 5 year, and a 10-year plan. Basically, anything that was a priority in the community showed up. And on those plans, you tried to stay on track, and you got the assessment from the engineers what those costs were going to be. And there was no swaying and dealing away from that because we want to get those projects done because they're important. Projects that just come out of the blue, question them very carefully because it could be a real hardship for this community to gain and gather those revenues in order to pay for something that is questionable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Shelley Bruin.
Thank you, and thank you, Alan, for the question. And I would actually like to hear that idiotic list that you have. And I know you well enough, Alan, that after this meeting, I'd like to talk to you and hear that list, because that's one of the challenges with being a city councilor. Everybody has a different list. So what Alan thinks is crazy for us to spend and build and have, everybody in this room is going to have a different list. So every year when you listen to people, and I have come to council and said, hey, I heard from so-and-so, this is what they don't like. Oh, Tony heard from someone else, and someone else heard from someone else. So we have to decipher as city councilors what is most important. What do we move forward and do? Even this year with the 2% tax increase, we didn't have to do 2%, but we had to cut something. So what are we going to cut? And because we hadn't had a tax increase, we decided we'll keep the 2% tax increase, forge ahead with the projects that we did. And we've had a pretty good track record when you compare it to other communities in Saskatchewan with our tax increases. And we can get to that information as well, how much other communities have increased their taxes compared to Estevan in the last few years. People will say it's because our taxes are high enough, and maybe that's true. But again, we can all look at that budget, and each and every one of you, if I am reelected, I would love to hear from you when we release that budget, where you think we can cut it, and if we can, or if we can look at something different, then let's do it. But this is all of our cities. You're gonna elect 6 people to be your councillors and 1 to be your mayor, but at the end of the day, each of you have a voice, and just let it be heard.
Thank you, Shelley. Tony, sir.
Thank you. I really can't answer your question unless there's a budget in front of me. When I started on council, Al, I had the same thought process as you. To my surprise, the budget looks good and has looked good every year, and we are very lucky to have our financial team. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Stephen Daniel.
Thanks. Well, as a potential new council member, obviously I can't answer that question because I agree with Tony 100%. I mean, I can't answer that question unless I have a budget in front of me and see where all the money is going and see, figure out where we can cut to keep the budget balanced and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think it's difficult for us to do that, and I don't know where all the departments are or what all the departments are, but it's something that I would learn very quickly. On a personal level, I just want to say, as I mentioned earlier, I'm fiscal conservative, and I believe 100% in balanced budget. I spent my entire life on a personal level balancing my own budget in my home. I ran a painting business for a little while, and I kept, budget, not with budget anything. But the thing that irked me my entire life was, no matter how well I keep my personal budget under control, it didn't matter because the government would borrow money on my behalf, spend it on things I don't like, and then give me the bill to pay for it. So this is something I will not do. I don't know all the answers to everything, but I will try and keep everything under budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Dave Elliott.
Thanks for the question. I'm kind of in his boat, not being a part of the budget process in the past. Now, to be honest, I've never looked or had to work on a budget of that size and scope in the past. But I would imagine there are, let me bring it back out to the Kingsman slogan again. Serving the community's greatest needs, not wants, needs. So if you're focused on the needs, now here's your list of needs, and now you have to prioritize those. So needs always come before wants, and that would basically be my approach.
Thank you, Dave. Tom, Mouse.
Yeah, Al, thank you for that question. That's a real challenge that you gave us here. I'm like everyone else here that has never been on a council. If I'm elected, I'd have to work my way through the budget. I've got no idea where all the big spending is. Ryan, personally, I like annual flowers. I think we should keep them. But whatever. What I really hate to see is something like happens to my daughter in Regina on a regular basis. The snow cleaning in their crescent is called April, and it's not fun. Trying to get to her house anytime after January 1st is a challenge at best. And there are things like that you have to look at. You have to be able to prioritize. And any new council member will have to work our way into a budget and see if there are chances or ways to change it or save anything. And I've looked at the budget online the last couple of years. It looks like it's not like a really deadly bad budget, honestly. Estevan is in relatively good shape compared to other communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And Rebecca Ford.
Thank you so much for your question. I'm going to spin this a different way, actually. I think our management does a really good job of making sure our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed. We experience increasing costs day after day. We have to provide a livable wage for our employees in this community, and I think it's really important that our city staff know that they feel appreciated and valued, and that's based off of our contract negotiations. And I think it's really important that those line items in our budget are set, and that we continue to, create an opportunity for our employees to be able to have a family and to be able to grow in this community. So it's not the departments or the areas that I would like to cut. I would really like to find more opportunities for revenue in this community. And I don't mean that in a way of, I want to raise all of your taxes. I would like to continue to work with our provincial government to increase municipal revenue sharing. I really want to work with our federal government, and unfortunately I'm going to say the dreaded C word, but our city pays carbon tax on absolutely everything, just like you guys pay carbon tax on. Every time I get in front of a federal MP, a federal minister, everybody, I bring the question up, why does our city have to pay carbon tax on something? It's double taxing our citizens. It's terrible. I would like to continue to have those conversations with those leaders and with other people and with other communities to find solutions. So we don't have to overtax our citizens, but we have to find a way to create more revenue so we can create a good opportunity for the people who work and live in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. With that, we'll go to our next question.
Thank you. It gives me a chance to talk to all the new councillors who are going to be elected. My first question is transparency. My name is Wayne Irwin. I've been a voter here for a number of years in the community. On that transparency, the question for all the people running for council. One of the things that I noticed in the past, we've had closed council sessions. Totally disagree. We need to know what's going on in our community. We don't need to be able to talk about it to any of you. And it upsets me that those doors are closed. So my question to all the councillors and people that are going to run, who in favor of sitting at the table would vote for open council?
Thank you, Wayne. Kevin Andrews.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I agree with that. Open, everything transparent, nothing hidden. It's our town, it's our city. We need to be transparent. Everybody has to know what's going on so that they can contribute. If you don't know what's going on, how can you make a decision on what's going on or ask questions? So, to answer your question, nothing behind closed doors. Thanks.
Thank you. Matthew Lebowski.
Thank you for the question, Wayne. I don't think I can say specifically if I am in favor or against, because I don't know the specifics of what happened if there was any closed council meetings. I do agree that they should all be open, because as like myself or I'm like any one of you, I do think it's important that we know what our council and what the people that run the city are saying and doing and what they're planning. But I know that there's often a lot more kind of behind the curtains politics that go into it that may influence the decision of open or closed doors. So I know it's probably not as straightforward as it would seem, but to simplify my answer, I would be in favor of definitely open door meetings and councils.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And without a doubt, open and completely transparent. I'm all in favor of it. It's your guys' money. It's all our money. Shouldn't be any questions about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Ryan?
Thank you very much. The idea of a closed council for elected officials is a crazy idea and absolutely should never be a possible thing. That's my personal opinion about it. So therefore, to answer your question, they'll always be open if I have final say.
Thank you, Ryan. Kirsten Wolliser.
Thank you. To answer your question, I am not in favor of having an open door policy, because as an elected official, our job is determined by provincial legislation. The province has created the Cities Act, and it is through the city's act that we act on your behalf. Within the city's act, there are topics that simply cannot be dealt with publicly. One of those topics would be employees. If we are talking about the employees, that is a private meeting. If we are discussing land, that is a confidential matter that cannot be disclosed publicly until the appropriate time. If I were to share each opportunity that walked in our doors, we would swiftly lose those opportunities, because often with economic development comes non-disclosures that specify when we as councillors can let the community know the work that we've done on their behalf. I take it very seriously, the job of an elected official, and part of that job is acknowledging when something must be held quiet, even when others don't agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. Brian Johnson.
Thank you for your response, Kristen. You're absolutely right. So we have legislated from the provincial government, the Cities Act, and we have to go into closed because of personal matters. We're either hiring a new police chief or we're letting somebody go. And we have to keep those confidential, quiet. We're not going to be putting those names out in the paper. We're not going to be running them on radio. We're not going to be talking about them on the street. They're supposed to be, like I say, confidential. We're not supposed to repeat those conversations to the public and stir up the community like that and harden that individual or do hardship to him. Another one is the land transactions. When we had Brentwood Homes come in and did that big development north of town, there was another player in the field, or maybe 2 or 3 other players in the field vying for those good quality parcels of land. And what do? We can't have open council meetings and have them bear pitting against one another. That would have been, absolutely craziness in the community. So we have to hold up the law. Otherwise, it's going to look really bad for any of us on council. And I must say, there are situations where it's been brought forward when I was on council that we should go into closed, and those situations were denied because they weren't of value. So we remained in open, and we talked about those things. They were hard on some individuals, and maybe for reasons being, we could not go into closed. So in that case, I agree with you. But in the strictest confidence, we have to keep things confidential. Thank you very much, and good question.
Thank you, Brian. Shelley Roma.
Thank you for your question, and I agree with what the other council people have said, and I also agree with the new people. It's also hard for you to answer that, because before I was on council, I didn't know that we had to go into closed. Land, legal, labor. If it falls under those 3 things. I've had people walk up to me and say, hey, I heard you're being sued. I said, really? I know they walked away thinking, how does she not know that? Sometimes when someone says something to me that I say, I didn't know, thank you, okay, and I walk away, or I said, I can't talk about that. It's because I legally cannot talk about that. You take an oath when you walk into the city council chambers as councillor, and you shouldn't talk about that. You guys should expect that from us as council people. If we can't talk about it, we shouldn't be talking about it until we can. And so that's what's going to happen here. There are going to be new people elected to council. And when the new people are elected to council, and some of them are going to be your friends, I hope that they will look at you the same and say, I cannot talk about that right now. I can talk about it once it becomes public. If it's a land deal and the money goes through and it's being purchased, then you can discuss it, possibly, depending on if there's a non-disclosure. So there's a lot of parameters that go about different things. But again, we need to continue to push as council people that land, legal, labor are the only 3 items that stay in a closed meeting. If we're going to have discussions about hard topics, push them to open. You guys need, that's what we're missing, is a lot more of those hard topics, and we need to hear more of that discussion. And you're all also welcome to come to open council meetings each and every time.
Thank you, Shelley. Tony, sir.
I can't add anything more to the conversation. They've explained it as it is, so
Thank you, Tony. Stephen Daniel.
Yeah, generally speaking, I'm going to agree with the other councils as well, but I have to agree with them as well. There are some things that you cannot talk to in open. I worked for the federal government for 14 years, and it was the same thing there. You know, you have to sign a Is this on? I worked for the government for 14 years, and I had to sign stuff that I had to keep certain information quiet as well. I'm not allowed speaking about it. But as long as it's not dealing with these three things that these previous candidates and councils have mentioned, land, legal, and labor, I think everything else can be open. I don't see any reason why anything else should be closed beyond these three things. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. Dave Elliott.
Well, I started out thinking, what do we got to hide? And then I found out. Thank you for the explanation from the other end of the table. So now we know the answer to closed council. There you go.
Thank you, Dave. Tom Knox.
Yeah, good question. Again, I have to agree. I work on film quite a bit, and I know the producer often, for privacy reasons, I often get an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. Pure and simple. You don't like it, okay? Most meetings should be held open council. No questions asked, but as they all said, and there has to be agreement on that, there are things that just do not belong in public right now. Possibly at a later date or not, that's a different question, but there are things that have to be handled in private. And it's also a legal issue where you could get sued for stupidness.
Thank you, Tom. Rebecca Ford.
Thanks so much for the question, and I'm not going to sound like a parrot to voice what everyone else has said. It's the worst thing about going last is somebody's already probably taken your answer. What I would like to do, I think our open councils in the past 4 years have been, our council has been very open. We've put out our budget, we've allowed the media to come to our budget days, we've allowed some very hard conversations to be had in open meetings. I would like to continue that. I would like to continue to have our closed meetings only dealing with land, legal, labor, but I would also like to take a communication approach to this. A lot of people have lived in the past Estevan where, things felt like they were being hidden. So I would really like to make sure that our community is being communicated with. Hey, we have a council meeting every second and fourth Monday of the month. Here's our agenda. Here's what we're talking about. Here's our budget items. I would just really like to continue that communication message with the community so that everybody feels like they are having an open and honest council with them. Because I don't think it's so much of us hiding anything. Again, it's, as we've discussed a number of times tonight, I think it's a communication thing. I would really like to work to create a positive culture within our community and within council so that everybody feels able to have those conversations with the community within their legal parameters, but to be able to have their voice, to be able to pass along to the community what we're up to without anybody feeling like we're hiding anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Zach Benedict.
Okay, yeah, there's not much I can really say much more about that thing. I did read the laws and they gave me the paperwork when I signed up for being a mayor. There's nothing we can do about the closed council meetings. But I do remember when I did sign my papers in, I came to talk to you at your shop lines. What was one of the things that I talked to you about? Was getting the community more involved, having more town hall meetings, having a little bit more ability for you guys to voice what your concerns are. So events like this. So when ideas are tabled from the council or the mayor itself, come to a town hall, get you guys involved, hear your concerns more. That's the kind of communication I want you guys to have and deserve.
Thank you, Zach. I think the takeaway is the citizens would probably like to see those closed council meetings dedicated to 100% confidential items, and everything else should be an open session. Thanks for the question. Do we have another question?
Hi, my name is Ken Gordon, and I have lived in this beautiful town of Estevan for 15 years. Moved my whole family here. I've got grandkids here. And what I'm trying to do is save this town. What we got here is the biggest mess I've ever seen in my entire life. In 50 years in the oil and gas industry, I've seen towns come and go, and this town's the way to go. And the reason is I'm looking at it. Because what we need in this town is business development. We don't need to pay down our debt. How can you pay down our debt if you don't have income? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Right? So how do we get it? We need to get businesses into this town. Everybody says, oh, oil and gas is coming back. No, it's not, guys. It's gone. We had an industry, it's gone. I've talked to many people of why they don't come back to Estevan. And you know what the biggest reason is? Taxes. They can't afford to have their shops here. I worked in downtown Calgary for 26 years and held many senior positions in the oil and gas company. So I've talked to people about why they won't come back here and why they left here. And that's the reason. So what are we going to do to improve it? Biggest thing we need to do is find an industry called jobs. Why are we losing all of our young people? I went to the beautiful, what I called this sadness of watching all of our young people at graduation this year. How many said they were staying in Estevan? None. You know why? There's no jobs. They didn't go for education. We don't have basic jobs. We have jobs that people are trying to starve and make themselves with a $15 an hour wage. You talk about paying people in town more. Well, how about us in town who don't live on nothing? We live on nothing. The old people in this town. Yeah, we live on nothing. And you guys turn around and talk about budgets, you talk about what you're going to do. Well, you know what us old people want? We want to see young people here. I don't want to see the U-Haul dealer be the busiest place in town. Do you think that that's smart as a business person? No, the last thing we need. My questions are going to be quite big for you guys to come up with tonight. And the biggest one I've got to say, what are you going to do to bring businesses with jobs? We've got transportation. We're 10 miles from the U.S. border. We've got rail, we've got transportation, we've got everything we need here to be able to sustain a warehouse, a manufacturing center. We've got power plants, for heaven's sakes, where we could bring in. But no, we need a council and we need a mayor that's going to stand up and talk to the province. Our coal transition fund, which was supposed to also include bringing in businesses, but no, what did our last council do? They took the money and they spent it on a downtown project. That didn't make sense. Where's the coal transition fund for employment? Where's the coal transition fund for bringing in jobs? Because you guys want all these projects? You want to have all the fun? You want to build parks till the cows come home? You want to pay down a budget? Then bring in businesses and jobs. If you brought in 400 jobs, you'd turn this town around. That's what I got to say. My question to you all, how are you going to, and what are you going to do to bring a business into this town in order to create jobs to keep our youth here? And I'm not talking high-tech jobs, because those are wrong. We need basic jobs. And I'm not talking retail jobs, I'm talking jobs. I've got too many. That's my question.
Thank you, Kim. Now you get the honors of first response to the question.
That was a very powerful question, and I definitely felt the motivation, the power behind how you said that, so thank you for that. I definitely agree. I may not have lived here maybe as long as some other people here, but I have, in my time living here, going through schools and graduating here, I have seen exactly what you were describing, where I asked people that I went to school with, like, what are you doing after you graduate? Oh, I'm moving. Okay, why? And it's either education or there's just no future here for them. It's either, if you work in oil and gas, great. If you don't, there's not really much here for you. And I think that is sad that so many people leave here, often not intending to come back, because there's not really nothing here for them of their career. So it's a very tough question to answer personally. We definitely do need to bring a lot of jobs here, and I believe job diversity is also a good thing, not the diversity that was asked earlier, but just having different types of jobs so that we can have more people have more interest in, maybe they're not physical labor intensive or something like that. Something for really anyone to be able to pick up and take a job and earn money and earn a living and enjoy their lives here. There's also the aspect to it where you mentioned how why don't people come back here? Well, it's taxes. And I'm sure some people will also think that if we tax corporations or companies, they'll just move out somewhere else. They'll take their business somewhere else. And while I think there is some legitimacy to that, we also need to ask why companies and corporations would rather take their money and run elsewhere rather than pay their fair share to the city that they are getting their business in. So I think they really owe it to us, these businesses and corporations that, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Ron Watt.
Okay, thank you for the question. I definitely wasn't ready for something like that to be addressed tonight, but I'll give it my best shot, sir. Where the road begins for something like that is to incentivize, motivate any sort of business, any sort of manufacturing, anything we can think of to bring it to town. Now we've got a community college here. I don't know how busy it is, but we could also bring in some sort of specialized courses. We could hunt for something like that. What that does, that fills hotel rooms, it fills rental properties for students, it also fills restaurants, it's great for grocery stores. That aside, we've got an airport up here that you seldom ever see an airplane land at. The most activity you really ever see up here at this airport, to be honest with you, is the military or the police doing some training. We've got a lot of open land there. Is there a spot that we could build, sell, rent to some sort of, we got to think outside the box. We got to think a little bit away from oil and gas, coal mining, etc., etc. We've got a lot of empty shops in this town. We've got a lot of empty parcels of land that could be built on. We got to do a little bit of planning to come up with something to incentivize industry to move here. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. I believe it could be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Ryan Hale.
I first want to start by saying I hate that question because of how true it is. Just for a little thought experiment, anybody 30 or below, please stand up. Let's just see how many are actually in this room right now. Yeah, not kind of me, but we have one. One person's here at a city council. Two? Oh, I didn't see you there, Matthew. No, I agree with you. It's sad, and it really is. Walking, and I talked to a couple small businesses today. One is a 15-month-old business owned by a brother and sister. They didn't know anything about the incentives that we offered in this town. I talked to a 2-year-old business that said that it needs more incentives for first-time business owners. It's ridiculous how these people owning their businesses feel like they're underappreciated and underrepresented. We need to move towards cutting commercial taxes. You create an opportunity for more businesses to expand and hire more employees to broaden and create more jobs. And that's all I can think of right now, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Kirsten Walliser.
Thank you for the question. I think you've touched on something really important, that there are a lot of organizations and individuals in this community sharing this good news, talking about our rail lines, that we have a continuous rail line right through our city that not only cuts across Canada, but goes all the way through the States to Mexico. This is a community that is facing a lot of opportunities, but it's also a community that has innovative people bringing new solutions forward all the time. There are lots of new businesses in Estevan. There are lots of community groups, not just the community college, but their partnerships with the Tech Hub, with South Sask Economic Partnership. There's a lot of groups that have seen the opportunity, that do recognize the infrastructure that already exists, and the jobs are not always going to look the way we think they will. It may not be one industry arriving with 400 jobs, but each time that we go out and share our story and talk about the people that built Estevan, the people that moved here, grew a business, and supported the community, it's another opportunity for somebody to take a second look at Estevan. And that's what I think is really important, is that all of us look around and see, where does a gap exist? Where could a new business go? And how do we as the community support them in that? Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. Brian Johnson.
Thank you for the question. It's a very good question. It's very pointed. We need to keep the youth and the young people out of trouble in our community, but we also need to keep them employed. We need to keep them working, raising families, and that just continues. They need to be engaged in the community and also working. And if they can get a career job in our community, great. I'm going to touch on a few things that I mentioned earlier this evening. We're blessed with wind around here. You don't have to go far, just go take a look at wind on a bright night like tonight. You'll see those wind turbines turning down there. The Americans have put these wind generators that are turning down there, creating power. We have them just in our eyesight here. We can do that in our community. Weyburn looking at one with Enbridge right now around Hallbright, for crying out loud. We've got them interested in that. They're just doing site selection if they can. Now that's possible? Maybe. We're also looking at solar. At Hallbright, they put in a big solar farm. Along the highway there, you see it when you go to Regina or to Weyburn. There's a big solar farm producing power. I took the course. It wasn't offered in Estevan here, but we did put up a solar array over at the Southeast Community College here. And we can train people here on solar power. The array is just right outside the door, and we can do that training right here in Estevan. We can invite people into Estevan for that training. Wind power, solar power, we're looking at that. We're thinking maybe that's the future. That might be the future for Estevan, because I mentioned it earlier, we're the sunshine capital of Canada. Come on now. The guy that gave me the course in Weyburn says, why haven't you guys got anything here in the Southeast? You got over 6 hours a day of sunshine. Those solar panels will be just cranking up the juice. Not only that, we need people to put them up. When I get on city council, I want to know what we have for available land that's on the books that hasn't been moving. So maybe it's time to take a look at that land and move it along, lower the price, get production in carpentry and in building in the community, get some interest in that. Also, that nursing home I mentioned, long overdue. Start building, start doing something in the community in order to be productive, create jobs, bring work to this community. There was actually the company that wanted to put a solar project in just on the other side of your place out there on that farmland. I went to that meeting that night. It was very good. Bring them back.
Thank you, Brian. Shelley Verma.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. I too felt the passion, and I think that's what Estevan needs more of, is that kind of passion. But I'll tell you, there is a lot of great things happening. The Tech Hub held that ICE conference, and I went to all of the seminars that they held. And they talked about one of the new things that we're actually looking at through the coal transition money was used to investigate and invest in graphite, coal to graphite. Graphite is used for electric vehicle batteries, and why, I took some notes, so I just want to let you know. Basically, they use lasers, and they've already used 1 kilowatt laser and charged and discharged the batteries. They're trying to scale it up to 12 kilowatt lasers now. China produces 77% of the world's graphite supply. South Korea has synthetic graphite, but that has too many emissions. So they know, they're doing the research, it's happening. Why Estevan? Our coal is near the surface. Our environment goes from -40 to +40. Our powerful winds, 2,500 hours of sunshine, and hot but deep for geothermal. We have the CCS infrastructure. So when people think City Council aren't out looking for jobs, the Economic Development Committee, they're looking, they're picking up. We had a few years back where the mall came to us and said, this is our plan for the Estevan Shoppers Mall. I worked in the Estevan Shoppers Mall 30 years ago. I have seen the changes. I don't know how many of you have heard, but Wayburns Mall, it isn't even really open right now. Estevan's Mall is open for business and it is continually investing. We do have open land in Estevan and we do need more infrastructure and more business. I agree with you 110%. But we on council are not the enemy. We are trying hard every single time to make this community a better place to live and create more jobs.
Thank you, Shelley. Tony Stern.
Yeah, thank you for the question. My answers might go all over the place, but you're correct. Commercial taxes need to at least remain where they are to be competitive and attractive. Economic development, there are a couple good seeds planted, coal to graphite, coal to hydrogen. There's a few others in there, and obviously that's something that I could help to advance. By simply, with our economic development, one thing I've noticed is we haven't set any goals. We're not tracking wins and losses. That'll be a huge development within our economic development. Continuous improvement to our infrastructure. This is what's going to attract businesses. It's not $200,000 giving away this or that. It's going to be, they need to be able to come to the community and have everything in place. Relationships, again, I said I cultivated relationships within our province with decision makers. I need to, the mayor's chair, again, would enhance the visibility for those relationships. And whether you like it or not, the winds of change are blowing, and we must embrace those winds. We have had the announcement, which was a huge development. A bunch of people probably in this room were part of it. We have the announcement of we are getting the first SMRs. Whether you like them or not, that is going to bring thousands and thousands of jobs to this city over who knows how long. And again, we have what the world wants, land and water. So it all ties together. Things are looking good. I know the outlook, if I was a coal miner right now, the outlook does not look good. But honestly, there's a couple seeds to save the coal miners. Again, the coal and graphite, if this can all happen, again, we have the carbon capture. And again, our coal industry, to bring that up, is obviously it's not what it used to be, but it's still going. The carbon capture is still going. The government just announced that they're going to try to run coal till 2034, or until the nukes come. That's all positive. Everything's positive. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Stephen Daniel.
Hi, thanks for the question. Yeah, jobs. I'm obviously in agreement with that. Jobs bring prosperity and so on and so forth. And one of the reasons how we can increase jobs as well is reducing the high taxes commercial to attract businesses. We saw, well, in the year that I've been here, I saw a few individuals or businesses already leave Estevan. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm new, so I don't know quite everything, but I will learn very quickly to figure out how to, and I know this is a big problem with a lot of small towns and everything like that, the young people leaving, and but we got young individuals who have suggestions, thoughts of how we can attract or help younger people to stay here and everything like that. And so, yeah, I agree with the concept of jobs, and we need to find ways of doing that, absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. David Elliott.
You got the wheels turning here. I'm just sitting here thinking, coal to graphite, because they're used in EV batteries. Where are the batteries being made? Do they have a ready supply? Will ours be overpriced because of shipping? Like, these are the things that, you know, if you want to throw stuff out, little paths my brain takes. I don't disagree with anything you said, except for, like, if you're thinking of, when you talk about shops that left and took jobs with them, Halliburton and Schlumberger, they're infamous for, wait, our profit margin just dropped to 30%, we're out of here, right? They'll never come back. The guys, but then I asked the question in my head, okay, the companies that looked at coming back here didn't go to Beanford, just 10 miles away or 10 kilometers, I can't remember which. But they're right there, and they can get the lower tax base there and have a shop put up. So I don't even, but I am gonna find out what we're paying for taxes on the shop where I work, and it damn well, based on the road we're on, damn well better be less than what I'm paying for my house.
Thanks, Dave. Tom Moss.
That's graduate. Yeah, oil and gas is going, as you mentioned. That's sort of a given. We also, as you mentioned, we don't need minimum wage jobs. We need jobs where you can get your family, raise your family, feed the family, keep a sort of a normal way of living going. What to do? It's going to be, in the future, it's not going to be big businesses, it's going to be a number of smaller businesses. It's going to be more diverse than it is. Estevan has to get away from being a boom town. You have to go into sort of a standard way of living, and there's going to be smaller businesses, and they're going to be more diverse. It'll be, as Brian said, who knows, it'll be solar, it'll be wind, it'll be, I don't know, left-handed widgets. I don't know what we're going to be doing. The future is open, and we have to grab that. The tech hub is working on various things. The colleges there that can train people. That's where it's going. I don't think there's one patent solution or one idea. There's no way anyone can know which way we're going with.
Thank you, Tom.
That helps.
Rebecca Ford.
Thanks so much for your question, Ken. I would just like to clarify something in your statement. You said upon graduating, nobody is staying here because there's no jobs. This past year, in the 2020, I guess it's 2024 now, the 2024 high school graduation, about a third, if not more than a third of our students said that they were going on to pursue a career in technology. Our community does not have the opportunities to teach those kids the skills that they need to pursue technology. Our high school is only just developing its computer science program right now. We're working really hard with our college to be able to offer those computer science courses to our students and to anybody who has an interest in technology and innovation. That's where the Tech Hub comes in. The Tech Hub was created in 2020, or the Innovation Council was created in 2020, and it started as an idea of what can we do to bring jobs into our community that might be different, that might be not the norm that most of us know. They're not the 9-to-5 job where you go to work and you come home. They're jobs where you can work from home. There's jobs where you can have an idea and find a way to build on that. With that came the creation of the Tech Hub. Our Tech Hub is championing those conversations right now. We are working really, really hard with various businesses all across the world, companies across the world, to say, hey, here's what we have in our community, here's our resources, what can you do with them, and how can we help bring those jobs to our community? I think it is really important to note that our Tech Hub is doing so much work, and our Economic Development Committee is doing so much work in those areas, but some of it, as we've discussed before, we can't talk about. There's a lot of businesses that want to come to our community. They're also competing, or we're also competing with other communities that are also wanting these businesses. We're also not allowed to talk about them because they have NDAs, and we're not allowed to say, hey, this and this and this wants to come to our community. But there are things that we're working on. with collaboration with economic development, Southeast College to provide training for people who do want to bring those businesses to community, and the Tech Hub. So I think it's really important to note that that we are working on bringing jobs to our community. It just may not be in the traditional sense that everybody is used to. It is something that we're working on, and we're more than happy to continue that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Zach, on here.
You have kids? When your kids were younger, did they have any issue going to work?
Always.
Yeah. I have a 16-year-old daughter right now. She thinks that social media will make her an influencer and make her rich. That is the mentality that's actually really killing the youth and their motivation right now. So it's really not so much that there's 385 jobs just alone in Estevan that are seeking employment. There's careers in the oil field, but the kids just don't want to do that kind of hard work anymore. They want the easy labor. They want the fast money. That's the biggest problem. As a parent, I see that because I asked my daughter, you need to get a job if you want some money for your cell phone. She moved up. It's simple. I think she just moved up with friends. Like she's bad. But you get the point, right? Like, it's tough. It's tough dealing with it. So, and that's one of the biggest concerns. But if you want to talk, Brian talks about solar and about the wind farms. The question was about bringing jobs to Estevan. I believe if we go down that route, that's only a temporary fix to his question. Those are not going to require a continual person or 100 people to have a job for the rest of their life there. That's not gonna fix the issue at hand that he's asking. And honestly, the coal miners fear that kind of stuff and coming in and actually taking away their jobs. So I mean no disrespect in that, Brian. That is the future coming. But I don't want to see that come to Estevan and take away more jobs from the hard-earning guys at the mines.
Thank you. Thank you,
Like I mentioned earlier, we're the third highest tax for business. We lowered that. Small business, which is the backbone of all economies, will come here. And we get one business, have 5 employees, that's 5 houses, that's 5 more families shopping. It cascades. Lowering tax is the way to go. As far as the green energy plan, it's a scam. If you guys can't realize that, look into it. One volcano produces as much CO2 as the human race has since being recorded. So we're being told not to breathe. Like, it's so stupid that people can just. That's what I'll be doing if I get elected to council. I'll be trying to inform people the scams that are going on and what's coming to this country and this town. Thanks.
Kevin? Yes. Time for one more question we'll take this evening.
Thank you, folks. I'm Brian Zinchuk. I've been writing about energy here for 16 years now. I am a voter. And there's 2 elephants in the room that I took till 9:25 to be brought up. One is clearly we are losing coal-fired power generation. Whether it's going to be in 2030, or which is what the federal government says it has to end by then, or if Saskatchewan pushes it to 2034, or we could lose Shand earlier by converting it to natural gas, maybe in the next few years. One way or another, we are losing coal-fired power generation. And number 2 is also very clear, Saskatchewan will be building nuclear, and we will be building it here. I will have a story tomorrow about the NDP saying they support nuclear as well. So we are getting nuclear, but they won't start construction until 2030. So my question for each of you is, what will you, as a council and councillor, do to get Estevan through losing coal and getting us ready to be ready to have 1,400 people come here to build reactors? If they build 4 reactors, that's over a decade of construction.
Okay, thank you, Brian. The question? Maybe can we just get you to summarize the question again, please?
What are you going to do to get us through losing coal and getting us ready for nuclear?
Thank you. Robin Locke, you get first opportunity to take that one.
Thank you for the question, Brian. Honestly, I wasn't ready for a question like that, but here we go. I'm pretty confident that, between the existing council that, sat the last 4 years, maybe some previous ones, because this has been a upcoming big bite in the keister coming at us, right? I'm sure they've come up with some sort of a plan they haven't. Well, that's a pretty unfortunate nod. I was looking for one of these. I guess that's where we start going to work. We go to work really fast. In the transition period, you can hope that we can sustain, retrain some of the coal workers to transition into maybe some of this new construction industry. If that's not for them, unfortunately, people are gonna move on. I've had to do it before in my life too. I've had to move to a different province. We had a pretty unfortunate government running the province at that time when I had to leave, and I didn't have much choice. People will do what they have to do. That's the resilience of people that grew up around here and in this province. But definitely, retrain if they're willing. Some of us old dogs don't like to be retrained that much, to be honest with you. That's where I sit on it. I'm a tradesman. I don't even like my trade, so I don't do it anymore. I do something completely different. Similar, but different. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Brian Hagel.
Very good question. So transitioning from the coal to the nuclear. Well, from my current knowledge, CP has been merged with Kansas City Rails. So CP Kansas City Rails will be from Saskatchewan down to the Midwest through Mexico. And at the same time, to my current knowledge, the coal mine is still owned by an American company. And it's the coal power plant's being shut down, correct? The coal mine hasn't heard, is the coal mine being shut down, or is it an American entity? So what we should be doing is working with CP Kansas City to build a rail line for the coal to transport to the United States and keep the market going and keep the coal mine going through that. That's the best I can do on that in a short conversation, sorry.
Thanks, Ryan. Kirsten Molliser.
Thanks for the question, Brian. I do want to inform the community, this is a conversation that's been happening throughout the 4 years that I've been on council. Most recently, a partnership was announced where using technology, they're going through and seeing what qualities do the coal miners already possess before we even ask them to retrain. Is there other jobs that already capture those skills, and how do we bring industry that puts them to work? The other component of your question does rely heavily on relationships, building relationships both in the community, but also throughout the levels of government to really say, what does this look like? How do decisions made at the higher levels of government play out on the local level? And how do we make sure that people are supportive during that? And those conversations are ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. Brian Johnson.
Thanks for your question, Brian. Brian, the coal industry is going to definitely take a big hit. And, the whole community knows about it, and it's going to affect the power plants too. This whole thing with emissions and, keeping climate change in check is real. So here we are, like another community across Canada, who are going to suffer. So in the mining industry, we have a lot of reclamation to do. That's recapturing the land that's been dug up, destroyed, mined, put it back to useful use. That's one thing that the miners could actively work at. We have a lot of empty shops around here in the city of Estevan, big shops, bigger than this hall, 4 times bigger, empty. We need to retool some of those shops for this new venture with the SMRs, nuclear. We need to train those employees that are willing to get trained at the facility that we have here in Estevan. And I'm going to tell you, I sat on a panel that was from the Cambridge University, hosted by them, with a consultant from Saskatoon. And we met every Saturday on, I'm going to say, this YouTube or whatever, this chat. And we talked, there was about 8 of us there. And we talked, what are the steps that we need to look at and get for this area, Southeast Saskatchewan. And we had SaskPower on there too, coming in and giving us some advice. But we all agreed, solar, wind, and also don't take nuclear off the table. Get it here too, because in Saskatchewan, up north, we got the mines for nuclear, uranium, which would foster those uranium mines and bring some of those workers back to Saskatchewan in order for mining industry. I heard at that time, in so many years, we're going to be short 15,000 miners. So the mining industry is going to need a huge influx of new workers.
Thank you. Shelley Groma.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. What are we going to do to get ready? I think part of it is also to continue to build relationships with the surrounding RMs. The RM Estevan had man camps back when they were building, and we had the boom on here. I mean, when I first moved here, Sham was being built, and people were renting out their basements and receiving income from that. So I think Estevan will be ready when the time comes, but again, my first 4 years on council, I heard it every time I turned around, coal's gonna be gone, coal's gonna be gone. Now I keep hearing, hey, we got coal to graphite, we got coal to hydrogen. They need coal for even doing some medicinal things that they're producing. Smarter people than me can produce great things with coal. So I just don't want to say, yeah, coal is gonna be gone completely, because maybe there still will be a hallelujah that will come out and save it. But if not, we are looking at the SMRs. We are looking at other industries coming. And there probably will be wind and solar and everything else that people are screaming they don't want, but in the same breath, what are we gonna do? So 2030, they say, is the date. I've heard Scott Moe say, they're not gonna turn it off if you can't, right? I just read an article the other day, Unit 4 is going back on. I think that's because they know we're gonna need it this winter. So, I mean, they also are working hard, and I can't save the coal industry myself, but I can definitely keep listening to the people who say, we're over here and we got more uses for coal.
Thank you, Shelley. Tony Stern.
Thank you for the question, Brian. Obviously there's work to do, don't get me wrong, but Estevan is probably sitting in the best position it ever has before a boom. If the nuclear is going to be our next boom. We have plenty of hotels. We have a residential area that's kind of ready to go by the cemetery. We have a structure for condos out north there, ready to put up. Basement's already done. So again, we do have highlights in there, but again, we have land. We need to come up with a plan over the next few years before the nukes get here to get those lots building on something, whether it be commercial or residential. And again, the infrastructure improvements. We're sitting in a very good position for the next boom. There are lots of highlights. The coal transition money, I'm not going to comment on the first $8 million. Just to clarify, the $8 million for the downtown is totally different. Coal, that's different bribery money than what was given to us for economic development. But we did just get an announcement of new funding. This new funding, I do believe, should keep the tech hub open and going. Whether you like that tech hub or not, it's attracting different eyes to our city, and that's what we need. We need different. We need to be different. I hate that word transition, so I'm not saying it. And again, this money should be used for training and also education purposes. It's kind of been used to give to companies to try to get them attracted, bring a new industry. That approach has failed. So we should, again, keep our tech hub rolling and the other monies that we have to go for training and education. So Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Stephen Downey. Thanks for the question. I have to admit, it's an area that I'm not familiar with at all, because I'm not born and raised here, so I don't know all the issues. It is the one area that I think that I will need to learn very quickly about, so that I can make an informed decision. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I'm hearing two different things, you know, whether coal is going, coal is not going, you know, like, and then maybe we can use coal to do something else, dry pipe, and whatever. So again, it's an issue I'm not 100% familiar with. I know a little bit, I've heard a little bit recently, and it's an area that I would need to learn more about. Thanks. Thanks, Stephen. Dave Elliott?
I'm gonna have to ask in the future that if you come up with a tough question, you gotta get it to me 3 days in advance so I can do some research. I honestly don't know what to say to you. I haven't had some of the contacts that our past counselors have had. I haven't been privy to the information. So rather than blow smoke up your ass, I'm gonna pass the mic.
Tom Mouse.
Yeah, okay, Brian, that's interesting, what are we gonna do to get the transition? I'm gonna throw you a curveball. To replace Poplar River, Bognor Dam, and Shannon, you need 1.2 giga. That's, as you mentioned, 4 SMRs. No company in their right mind is going to build 4 prototype SMRs anywhere. It's simply too expensive. I think irregardless of what happens with 1 or 2 or whatever, we have to look also we have to look into other directions. It's financially not feasible. It won't work. They would, before they build 4 prototype SMRs in one place, they will build 1 new camping reactor somewhere in Providence. That's the reality. I think that's a reality we might have to bite into. That's my idea.
Thank you, Tom. Rebecca Ford.
Thanks so much for your question. What will we do to get Estevan through losing coal? I think, as I stated earlier, working with our college, working with the Innovation and Tech Hub, it's really important to identify some of the skills that will be needed in the future with nuclear, with any other businesses that come to town, and help create programming so that people do not have to leave our city to learn how to do new jobs. I don't want people to have to leave and then say, well, I'm comfortable in Regina, I don't want to come back. We want to do absolutely everything we can to keep our community in the community. So I think really working with the college and with the Tech Hub to be able to create those opportunities for people to be able to transition from those jobs, from, say, losing coal, is really important. My opinion, I don't think we're losing coal. I think coal is changing. Coal can be used for many things other than power production, and we are working very, very hard in this community to attract businesses, attract people with the ideas that say, hey, we can use coal for other things. I would like to really take a good collaborative approach with that with the community. We are working on some projects. I want the whole community to know how coal to graphite works. I just really want to make sure that everybody is well versed in all of these things, but I truly, Brian, do not believe that we are losing coal. Coal is still in the ground. We just need to find innovative ways to use our coal. My last point, I really would like to continue and to start the conversation of working with businesses to see how they want to grow. The people who are working in this community are working. The people who are trying to build their businesses constantly say, hey, I have a lot of ideas for my job, for my business, but we can't find anybody to work for us. I manage a gravel company out in Coon. It's been in our family for 3 generations. We cannot find truck drivers to save our life, and I know that happens in a lot of businesses in this community. I want to be able to take some of the people who are transitioning, who might be losing their jobs, and to be able to transition them into those jobs, and to also help our businesses to be able to grow in this community, because they do want to grow, they do want to build, and I think we can take those people who are potentially losing those jobs and transition them into new jobs while helping our business community grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Zach Gunner.
Okay, so you did say it's coming. It is. It's inevitable. We can't really stop it. Do I have the right answer to your question, Brian? No, I don't. I honestly don't know what I can do. What I can say is that I won't stop fighting for the people here. I won't stop fighting for the poll workers. I won't stop fighting for anyone that's involved in the decline of job loss, in the job losses that would come about with the SNRs or any type of coal transition. But I want to ask you a question. Is there anything we can maybe do with our coal? Because it can't be generated here, or can we not ship it out globally and then benefit from that?
That's not the main answer. You answer his question.
Yes, sorry about that, Brian. Sorry, wrong mistake. Thank you, no. Anyways, I'm gonna finish up with this. Honestly, if elected, can I swear? Can I swear?
No, we don't.
No, okay.
We always.
If elected, Brian, nobody will touch the people under my watch.
Kevin Andrews.
I don't know where we're going to go. I hope people wake up. China, India, all the rich countries are building power plants, coal power plants, nuke plants, non-stop. One a day, I think, in China. Will people wake up? I don't think so. Nukes in Estevan? Not if SAS Power is running it. I worked there for 37 years, and I wouldn't trust those guys to run it. I don't even trust them for running coal. But what's going to come is going to come. I just hope that level heads, critical thinking takes place, and we change, because people are already realizing that the green thing is a scam. A lot of places, coal plants are firing up again, because they can't. Wind and solar, they're not reliable. So we've got a problem. What we have to do is we have to wake up people. That's the big job that city council has to do. And from them, the connections, maybe they have higher connections. But people have to wake up, because this is a scam. They're trying to basically destroy Canada. So in destroying Canada, they're going to destroy Estevan. So, like I said, hopefully people wake up. I hope the best for the future.
Thanks. Matthew DeBoski.
Thank you for the question, Brian. It's a very important question to me, not because I work in the coal mine, but I had the exact same question and thought when I heard that we were getting an SMR here. I wondered, well, what's going to happen to coal? What's going to happen to all the workers that mine the coal? What's going to happen to the people at SAS Power? And I took that question and went to one of the SAS Power events that we had here, where you can go learn about SMRs, talk to the people there, ask questions. And I did learn a couple valuable pieces of information. The first one was, to my understanding, and I could be corrected on this, so 2030 isn't exactly a hard cap on that's when we're done with coal. Coal's done, it doesn't exist anymore. It's more of a soft limit of, by then you want to decrease the amount of coal, and that's, to my knowledge, there so that we can still transfer into the next type of future energy, whatever that may be. And the other thing was that I asked what would happen to plant workers, and I got the response that they would be offered training and new opportunities at the SMR plants. So that, I believe, is already in place and in works of, in SAS Power's plan of how they plan to bring all this. And it also goes back to what I said earlier about having job diversity in Estevan. It is really important for us to expand the types of jobs we have here. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Okay, now we'll move to our final phase of the forum tonight. We'll give each candidate 2 minutes to make closing remarks. And we'll start with Brian Hagel.
remarks, I'd just like to thank you all for showing up tonight and giving us a chance to plead our cases. I hope that I plead my case well. If I want to just bring common sense budget expenses back to town, try to save taxes upon our small industries, our small little businesses. And I hope that I could gain your vote for the election. And hopefully I'll see you guys November 6th for the next debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Kirsten Williams.
Thank you. I want to re-emphasize that the questions that you've brought forward tonight are the same questions that council has been working on throughout the term. That the concerns you have are reflected in the people that were elected 4 years ago. And I think it's important that as we move through the election campaign, you keep asking those questions. If there was something here tonight that you thought, I wish I knew what the candidates thought on that, there's lots of time before the election to find out, because council works best when each member of the community feels that they can approach someone. They have a safe space to have their questions heard. If they see something, they're confident in coming forward and saying something and pointing out opportunities as they come by. So I too would like to ask for your vote in this election on November 13th. And again, would like to thank you for taking the time tonight.
Thank you, Kirsten. Brian Johnson.
Throughout my career, and while being a member of Estevan City Council, I have, and I must say, worked with and communicated with some of the best people around. I have met Prime Ministers of Canada and worked with members of Parliament on issues related to Estevan. I have also worked with premiers of Saskatchewan and some MLAs from this community. Worked with really good mayors and councillors for Estevan, very smart people, all in all. I must not forget all the people in industries in the southeast that I have worked along with at those companies. I've learned a lot. I have good Estevan city staff and police and citizens and volunteer firefighters. I always got good answers to those questions that I asked about how the city is doing. The leaders of communities that I have engaged with at conventions and forums were all good learning experiences for me as your past city council. I must say, I have tried to learn a lot in good leadership skills from these contacts. So on November 13th, please, everyone, get out and vote and make your choice to these really good candidates that we have here at this front table this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Shelley Verhoeven.
Thank you. Once again, thank you very much for coming tonight and for listening to us. My first time on council, we went to a Chamber of Commerce open night, and it was just the questions were there. The public was there, but they weren't allowed to ask questions. The second time, in 2020, nobody was allowed in, so it was just us in the studio at Access. And tonight was interesting. So I really did appreciate all of their questions. I appreciated all the respect that was shown tonight, so thank you to the moderators for that. And the number one reason why I'm on council is because I love Estevan. So, yeah, vote for me on November 13th. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Tony Strand.
Yeah, thank you to the organizers. Thank you to everybody up here behind this table. Most importantly, thank you for you to show up, and thanks for whoever's watching online. Short and sweet, I, Anthony Cernick, want to be your mayor. I'm offering my life and career experiences to guide us through the upcoming adversity. Let's have an inspiring future together. Vote Cernick.
Thank you, Tony. Stephen Daniel.
I don't know what much to say. Like I said, I am new here, so this is the first time I'm doing something like this, so it's going to be a huge learning curve for me. Others, present councils, they started one time too as well. It was a large learning curve for them as well. And so if I get voted, it's going to be a learning curve. One thing is, I am a reader. I love reading. I read a lot of things, and when I'm interested in an issue, I just delve right into it. There are issues here that you guys are very concerned about. And I admit, because I'm new, I'm not as familiar with it as you guys, but I tell you, I will learn. I will learn real fast. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Dave Elliott.
I don't envy the people of the city, actually, because there's a lot of good people out here, and you guys got a tough choice. That's all I gotta say.
Thanks, Dave. Tom Lewis.
Yeah, thanks to the Concerned Citizens Group for the invitation and for all the people that were up here, all the candidates. And it was great to see such a nice crowd here and hear all the questions and see the people. One thing is clear, Estevan is facing many challenges from inside and out. And we're going to have to find a way to deal with that. We need the new council. Open discussion is going to be very important. Communication is going to be very important. I hope to see you all November 6th for that forum, the Chamber of Commerce. And remember, get out and vote because it is important. Every single vote counts. It doesn't matter who you vote for at the end of the day.
Thank you, Tom. Rebecca Ford.
Thank you so much. Bringing a fresh perspective to the mayor's seat is really important to me, all while creating a positive culture within City Hall and within our city. I'm not just looking to maintain the status quo. I want to drive progress. My vision for this city is one where innovation is at the forefront, where our infrastructure reflects our needs, and where we can balance growth with preserving the unique character of Estevan. All while continuing to be fiscally responsible, continuing to make sure we're providing great services to our people, and finding solutions to problems through collaboration with regional, provincial, and federal agencies. Ultimately, being in local government is about leading through adversity, and it's about caring about the people you serve. I care deeply about this community. My volunteer experience and my business experience in this community shows that. I am committed to building a brighter, stronger future for every resident in this community. Please reach out if you have any questions. If something is sparked from tonight and you say, hey, I have a question about this, about that, please reach out. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Please come out and support our United Way telethon this weekend. And thank you so much for tonight, and I look forward to earning your vote.
Thank you. Zach Reiniger.
When Mr. Vickery shot me off there on my opening speech, it seemed actually quite fitting. Yeah, I got 2 minutes, leave me alone. Thank you. Anyways, but actually it seems quite fitting for my last bit of the speech anyways, to be quite fitting for this closing. So what it says is I'm going to make Estevan a place to live and to grow a future in. I'm going to make Estevan a better place to start and keep a business in. I'm going to make Estevan a place that people can say, that's our mayor, Zach Vandenberg, a real person for the people. And to my candidates, of course, Rebecca, Tony, I truly respect you guys, and I thank you both for actually taking the time out of your guys' own lives to take part on council already. Shelley, Kirsten, you guys are well versed in it as well, so thank you. And then, of course, Miles. And where's Greg? There he is. Those are the leaders of the concerned citizens. They're the ones that actually, yes, please, let's get it. Please, give them a really round of applause for holding this event. Mr. Vickery, moderating, of course, thank you. And to the people of Estevan, where's that camera? There you are. Thank you. I will keep it in, I'll end with this. My name is Zach Vandenberg. I am not going to sit here and speak about the changes that you guys want. I will be the change that you guys need. So don't vote for me just because of my outstandingly good looks. Vote for me for the leadership and the qualities that I can bring to this table.
Thank you, Zach.
I'd like to thank everybody here for coming out. Well, the reason I'm retired, I like gardening, that's my thing. But what I see is happening, the changes in Estevan and around the world, I feel I have to do something for my wife, for my daughters, for my grandchildren, and for the people of Estevan. So I know it's going to be a learning curve, but I'm willing to stand on the street corner and let you know what I know. And I'm willing to be be in City Hall and do the same thing, hopefully with some media help from the Mercury and the Discover Estevan. You can't get it from CBC or CTV or Global. They're all government owned. But we shall see. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Matthew, you both.
All right. I felt the rush of energy with Zach's speech there. It's almost bedtime. I appreciate the questions and especially the passion of which those questions were brought forward tonight. I didn't really know what to expect from any of this, but I'm very humbled that I'm able to be a part of this, and I hope I was able to make a positive debut with my council candidacy amongst my nervousness. And thank you to those who showed up, organizers, everyone here. I do very much have a lot to learn. I don't claim to know it all, and I definitely don't know it all. But that's why I really appreciate this privilege to be able to run for city council, because I like to learn, and I'm sure I would probably do a lot of that if elected. So, and I do love this city a lot, and so I hope you vote for me for city council.
Thank you, Matthew. And last day of the night for Mr. Ron Watt.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming out tonight. And you did it again. That's okay.
It's your brother, Ron. I get you confused.
That was my dad. Which is cool. It's still a pretty good legacy. Proud to be his son. Anyways, thank you very much to the concerned citizens of Estevan for putting up this facility here for us all tonight. Thank you very much to all my fellow candidates. Man, you guys all did a great job. All of you. Thanks for letting me ramble on some of my answers and whatnot as those questions got fired at us all tonight. And, remember me, Robin Wog, on election day. I'm not going to be anywhere near the top of the ballot. It's all to do with last name. It's not because I'm uglier than Zach or anything like that. It's all last name. Just save an X for when you get way down there. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. And with that concludes tonight's town hall. On behalf of concerned citizens, we'd like to thank all the candidates and as well as all the attendees, because your presence here shows that you care about the future of Estevan. So you all deserve a big round of applause. Can we thank Angela for donating your time tonight to run the sound? And all the members of concerned citizens who helped put this night on. Thank you very much. And with that, good night.
Thanks for watching, guys. Share it out.